You know, I've recently become like a mid-cut sock man. This is not one of them. This is like a shorter one. But I went to, the store that I work at, we sell shoes and we also sell socks and accessories and stuff. So I bought like a pack of like 10 of the mid-cut socks. I think I'm going to throw out all my other socks because I don't like wearing any other sock.
Wow.
Like I found the perfect sock for me at my workplace. And it's just like kind of not too thick, not too thin, kind of like up to here. Not like a super long one or a super short one.
Is it mid?
That's about a mid, yeah. So it's about the same, but it's a little bit thinner than those. And they're plain white. I like when it's just completely plain white. Like there's no like anything on the foot or anything.
True.
Oh, Matty's wearing ankle.
I've got these socks right now. They're a little lower cut than I would prefer.
That's ankle, baby.
What's annoying me right now is, this past weekend, this weather was like really nice. So I was in shorts, thus the short socks. But now it's like kind of cool and gray and raining and shit today. So I just threw on these socks again when I was running out the front door. But I hate wearing really short socks like this in pants. I just don't like the way it feels. I don't know what it is. When I wear pants, I like more socks. Yours are fine, but more like what Patrick's wearing. Like I like a higher sock that covers everything when I'm in pants.
I thought you were going to say because mosquitoes bite your ankles or something. Because that's annoying too. If they bite like right on the ankle bone or something.
There is that. Yeah, that can be annoying as shit too sometimes. But right now, I just have to say world of discomfort with the short socks and the pants.
Yeah, I always wear medium even when I wear shorts. And a lot of people tell me I look dorky when I wear my medium socks with shorts.
I think it looks way better than ankle socks.
That's my opinion.
I don't like
as well.
it. I think ankle socks look... I don't know why my brain is just like feminine. It just looks feminine, you know? To me, I just like the ankle sock just kind of looks a little bit... I don't know. I just feel like it feels better and it looks nicer to have like longer ones. And I know I'm saying that wearing ankle socks.
But normally the socks you're wearing right now, which are higher than mine, is what I would want to be wearing in shorts. Like I would want your socks
Not those?
in shorts. No, because that's the thing. When I am in shorts, then it's the opposite. When I have the longer socks, I either have to like fold them down a bit because they're like too long and I just find it's goofy looking.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think mid-cut for me works in any situation. Like I'd like it in any situation. I know I've heard that before of like don't wear shorts with longer socks, but I don't really I don't adhere to that, you know.
I didn't comment on your haircut last night.
Oh yeah. I noted that.
Wow.
No,
He did. He got buzzed.
Yeah,
I did get buzzed. Thank you.
How do you feel about what we witnessed last night?
It was good. I mean, most of the fights, to be honest, were a little bit disappointing. I felt like
Bro, that one fight that you commented on being the worst fight you've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I thought like maybe like I was thinking to myself, oh, this is like not a good fight, but like I guess I don't really know the technique. But then you said it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now I know for sure. Like this is like really not good.
It was just like both of them were like gassing out very quickly. We're talking about
who are the
UFC
fighters?
Event, Alex Morono and Nico Price.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were both gassing out pretty quickly, and they were just kind of like it looked like two drunk guys fighting. They were just like slugging and like very slow motion and stuff. Whereas if you watch like the main event, it's like sharp punches and like quick and takedowns and like
Really
super
calculated.
technique. Crazy technique. So, but and overall the main event was great, but the rest of the fights were just whatever.
Yeah. And then when Price was going, yeah,
it was celebrating in the end. Yeah.
God. But Dustin, honestly, bro, like Islam, like it was shaky at times. You know what I'm saying? Like overall, I think Islam did like dominate him for a larger percentage of the match. But like when they were standing, it looked like he was getting like his jabs in, and Islam looked shaky at times. You know what I'm saying? So
it's interesting because I feel like when I was watching it, it felt pretty even to me striking wise. But if you look at the numbers, like Islam outstruck Poirier quite a bit. So I felt like Islam just like was the better fighter overall. You know, in the striking, he was you know like kind of to me slightly winning, if not like even. And then the grappling was like obvious. You know?
Yeah. Something that I don't know if this is right, but something that I felt like when I was watching it was that, and it's interesting that you say Islam had higher, like a larger amount of strikes, because I feel like he does less damage than Dustin with his strikes. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, he wasn't going all in on every strike.
Yeah.
It looked like Dyson was trying to just knock him out with a quick blow.
Yeah.
And he was even saying in the post-fight press conference, and we won't talk about this too long because I know it's kind of a little bit on the side of boring, but like Dustin was talking about how Islam's movement was so weird, and like the way he would like poke his head down to like fake a takedown then exit, and like he couldn't find the timing on him, so he wasn't able to like get off combinations. Usually when Poirier fights, you see him like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strikes on someone and just starts like piecing them up. But every time that Islam would like get tapped with one punch, he would like immediately be out and like hard to hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a really good fight. And also like one judge had it 2-2 going into the last round, and then the other 2 judges had it 3-1 Islam going to the fifth.
Bro, I bet you that same judge who gave what's his name that one round.
Yes.
Did the fight?
Yeah, Costa. He gave Costa the whole fight. He gave him like 4 rounds to 1, which is crazy.
That's why that guy. I'm telling you, he must have been high. He must have been on something.
Dana White in the post-fight press conference said like that guy should never judge again. Like he said it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so they're not gonna have him.
He was like, that was crazy.
That is.
Well,
insane.
it's not up to him. It's up to the athletic commission of the state.
Okay.
So like I think they're in New Jersey, so New Jersey would have to take care of it. Like it has nothing to do with the UFC.
Honestly, it makes me happy that Dana White is like on our side though. Of like that's crazy.
Yeah, he was like, that makes no sense.
You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise it's like gaslighting.
Yeah.
But the very last moment of Islam and Dustin, I'm having it on repeat of what he did, like grabbing him by the ankle and spinning him.
Yeah.
And then just mounting him. That was insanity.
Yeah, Dustin talked about that. He was like, I didn't train, like I couldn't, that was such a hard thing to train for. He didn't even expect it to happen.
Yeah.
He just like grabbed his ankle and like spun him around, and then he fell over, and then like he got on top of him. It was like really cool. But anyway, yeah, honestly, like I feel like, because you were asking about the haircut.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Patrick about like how I'm not quite sure what to do with my hair. Like I think you went through this phase of like not knowing what to like. You had like the same kind of cut for elementary school, high school, and you're like, I don't know what to like. I don't know what my look is, and I still feel like I don't know, and I'm just testing out a bunch of different shit. But I just feel like every time I grow it long, because my hair is kind of thin, it looks like a little bit too wispy to me, and like kind of like I just feel like it's too messy, and I want it to look like somewhat clean. So then I just do this, and I think it works, but I don't know. I've had people tell me that it looks better longer, it looks better shorter, so I don't know what to do with that information, you know. But I just feel like it's easier for maintenance, you know.
Well, it looks good.
I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is like the best hair for me? You think if you had to diagnose me?
I mean, when you were younger, it was longer.
Yes, I had like the swoopy kind of. Like,
yeah. Whereas now, I don't know if that would work as well. I think I mean, I know this is like a fresh cut, so obviously you would maybe want to give it like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I would say like 2 weeks to a month out from where you are right now is maybe like the sweet spot. I think your hair typically shorter is like a better look.
Short. You're saying generally shorter, better than longer, but a little bit longer than this.
Maybe a little bit, because again, that's like raw right off the press.
Yeah,
so if like you give it a couple weeks just to sort of like,
you're saying like on top longer.
Sure, and even like just kind of all around sort of thing. Because even for me, it's like when I get a haircut every handful of months, like usually right after it, I'm kind of like, it's fine. But like once it has a week or two to sort of settle in, I'm sure it'll be a little nicer. And usually that's kind of the case.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty common theme of like letting it marinate.
Yeah,
letting the haircut marinate. Because I feel like for me, it looks very clean right now, but like I like it when it has like a bit of like a natural look to it. So when it starts to grow out a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing where it's a little more like tailored now.
Sure.
Whereas
it's a look that I like. I like the tailored look, but I don't necessarily wouldn't want tailored like this all the time.
Right.
I know some people do, and they get a haircut like weekly or something.
Yeah.
So that's not something I would want to do.
I'm not rich, so I don't.
Yeah, financially I wouldn't want to do that, and honestly, look wise, I don't want to be like 24/7 the same like clean cut. I like this stuff, but anyway.
Yeah. I think it looks good too.
Thank you.
Before we get going, Patrick, your story that you have to tell that you wanted me to make sure I reminded you about, is that a topic or is that just a story to tell?
It's not a topic.
Okay, please go off.
Okay, I'm just going to preface this by saying I know I'm going to sound unreasonable and like a crazy person. Okay. But I'm just going to say it anyways. Okay. So I woke up yesterday morning because I had to get blood work done. I'm going to volunteer.
How do you feel about getting blood work generally? Are you a needle fear? You're scared of needles? Or
honestly,
not really?
I sat in the chair and my like base instinct was like, oh, I'm like freaking out right now. She puts it in. I'm like, oh, like I don't know if it was just that needle, but like.
You know what I think?
Yeah.
This is like, I mean, we'll get back to your story, but like for me, I feel like needles are like something most kids are afraid of when you're a child. But then like as soon as you go through any hardship or something that makes you upset or like, or even just like general frustrations of life, I feel like that becomes like so little. Like I feel like I've been through so much like angry moments, even just like playing video games or like, going through breakups or being upset about anything. Like I feel like once I got to like, teenage adult phase, I would do the needle thing. It'll be like 2 seconds of discomfort, and I'd be like, this is way easier than any of the other shit that I've done.
Yeah. Well, I remembered it. I haven't had a needle in a while, but I remembered more sharp, distinct pain. But this was just, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a light prick. maybe she has steady
'Cause I think
hands.
some
Or
people are like some girl one time. It doesn't matter that she's a female necessarily,
Yeah.
but she like messed it up and had to do it a couple times. Like she had to like go in and out
Oh.
because she like missed the vein or something, and she had to go out and do it again. Because like you have to get like the
Yeah.
veins. I think she missed it or something, and she had to go twice. Not in the same. She would like kind of went out and like try to find it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of
I never heard of any. What's up with you in healthcare? Like the
That happened
dentist
to me
that
as a
dropped.
baby.
yeah.
When I was like a baby, I was in the hospital for like really bad croup or something. This is why I always say I've had like an aversion to needles since birth, practically.
Even still,
I don't mind. I'm better at, but I went
How are
like
you
a
gonna
month
get a
ago
tattoo?
for blood work. Here's the thing.
It's
I've
not-
always said this with needles. If it's on like the outside of my arm, like when I was getting COVID vaccines,
this.
does not bug me at all. Like when I got the COVID shot and they're like all like, okay, here it comes. I'm like, do whatever you want. Like prick me. I have no problem. There's something about it being on the inside of my arm,
Yes.
specifically right in the little pocket
It's
right
more
here.
sensitive.
There's something about it where it just feels like it's almost instinctual. Like it almost feels like if I'm like a fucking turtle where it's like, yeah, poke me through the shell. Like I don't give a shit. But it's like you flip me over as a turtle and you're like, all right, now we got to get to like, the soft bits. Like
Yeah.
there's something about it that just freaks me
I
out.
was gonna say I think a part of it is like the skin's harder here, and here it's so soft. And also I feel like it's I don't know, for whatever reason it feels like I don't know why, but it feels more vulnerable. I don't know
Yes.
what it is about it. Maybe it's because the skin feels thinner.
I don't know what it is.
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
sure it's some like
Like the
deep
thin's kinda-
psychological thing, but it's
I don't think
always
so.
bugged me as like
I feel the same way.
why here, like here, no problem. Here, it's like I don't like it kind of thing. And as I just have like as a kid when I was like 4 or 5, I had to go to the doctor and get blood work, and I was like, I just remember like screaming my head off and not being impressed. But as a baby, I had like really bad croup or whatever, where I wound
What
up
is
in the
that?
hospital. It's like a breathing whatever, like a I don't know if it's like a mucus thing. I don't know what it is, but it's not like a. I don't think it's like a condition necessarily. I think it's more just like something that kind of comes on. Because I had it a couple other times as a kid, never that bad, but like as a baby, I had it where I was like in the fucking hospital, like barely breathing and shit.
Get over
because I was like, because I was like having such trouble breathing, like my veins and shit were all like thinner than usual and like fucked up, and also because you're like this chubby baby, like it's harder to find it. Because my dad always, that's the story where my dad talks about like them pricking me over and over again, trying to find the veins, and me like losing my shit as a baby, and that's the story of my dad being like at the hospital that he ran up to the TV on the wall to like rip it off the wall and like throw it because he was just like so upset hearing me upset. But then he went to grab it and pull it, and it was like mounted to the wall, and then he kind of like gave it a tug and was like, let's calm down.
I wonder, did anyone see him doing that?
I don't know.
I just
don't know if
imagine
my
him,
mom-
like,
He does it and he looks
stepping onto a chair. Like I imagine it
Yeah.
elevated and he's just like,
I don't know
or-
if my mom or anyone ever saw him. I don't think so. The way he kind of tells it seems like it was a little more like he was kind of just by himself, like somewhere in the room, and just
Ima-
went to fucking rip the thing off the wall.
I'm imagining him being very methodical about it. Like he has like he like is in like construction gear and he's like unscrewing it slowly. like he's mad still but he has a goal, so he's gonna do it. He's gonna take his time with it. So he
Taking
can
all the
actually get it
screws out,
done.
and then as
Yeah.
soon as it's loose, just down onto the floor.
Back to the
right
anger.
away. Yeah, there's the Sicilian. But yeah, so anyways, fuck needles. So your story.
yeah. So I woke up early to get this blood work done, right? And there's very few people who I've encountered that I've never interacted with that I hate more than this woman I'm about to describe to you guys.
Wow. And this was, you said you went to a Life Labs.
Life Labs
Here in town?
Here in town.
Was it the one in the really old brown building there?
It's off just in front of.
Okay, yes. So the one
Yeah.
in front of the real, or in the really,
Yeah.
the like basement,
The
of
basement,
the old
yeah,
brown
exactly.
building.
Have you guys ever been to the one in the Pizzaville Plaza?
No.
The Papa John's, you mean? Was
no,
it Papa?
no, the one
John's?
like right beside our houses.
There's a Life Labs.
No, it's like it's another.
Oh, so it's a.
Yeah.
You mean the doctor's office?
It's like they do like blood work and.
Yeah,
like,
there's a
testing and
similar
stuff.
Oh.
one
I don't wanna say the name
right
of
by
it.
us, but
Yeah. Like in the Metro Plaza. you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Oh,
but the what do you call it there? Why do I keep tapping this? The one in the old brown building there. That was the one I went to.
Yeah.
like a month ago.
So you can picture the scene pretty
Sure,
much. is what you're
sure.
saying. So, and again, I'm gonna preface this again. This is gonna sound so stupid, but just imagine, put yourself in my mindset.
Mhm.
You're awake. You got 5 hours of sleep. It's early in the morning. You're just grouchy. You know what I'm saying? So you're in a grumpy mood.
What time is it? You said?
It's 7 in the morning at this point.
Damn. Okay.
So I walk in and there's a line, right? And so there's a door you have to go through, right? And then stairs that you have to go down. My first sight of this woman is going through these doors, right? So I'm walking really close by her, like let's say a couple meters. So it's one of those ones where if you open the door, you just have to wait a second to keep it open,
Mhm.
right? So her daughter opens the door. She goes, what, you're not going to keep the door open for me? Her daughter goes through. She goes to open the door, flies right through. So I just saw an immediate irony there of like, you want your daughter to like be aware.
Wait a second. You're watching this woman and her kid.
I'm walking behind them.
And the kid goes through the door, doesn't hold the door for the mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, look behind you. Like, wait, you're not going to keep the door.
Next after the mom.
I'm next after the mom, and she like has to open the door and then just goes through.
She doesn't hold it for you.
And she doesn't hold it for me. So immediately I'm like,
aware of you though? Because she should have looked back, but like, did she not look back?
No, she didn't look back.
Okay, I don't blame her in that.
Yeah, okay. But anyways, my first thought is like, irony, whatever. Anyways, so we go downstairs and there's a line and it's going around a corner.
Why is the line so big at 7?
I don't know.
And what frustrates me,
I was pissed. And at the end, when I finished, there was no line. So if I just gave myself an extra hour of sleep, I would have been there less time.
Sure.
Anyways, so there's a corner going around, right? And the mom didn't want to go to the end of the line. She didn't want to turn the corner. She peeks her head out, and I'm behind her because I'm just trying to get in line, and I know she's like before me. She's like, I'm going to be behind you, but I'm not going to go back there. And I'm just like standing there, and everyone's like looking at her of like, this like a tight space. What, you're going to just have people accumulate here?
What was she trying to do?
She was just trying to stand where she's at. She didn't want to go to the back of the line, turn the corner, and
why?
You know what I'm saying?
But she was.
I don't know.
She was prepared to be at the back of the line. She just didn't want to stand there.
She didn't want to stand there.
So essentially, there'd be a gap between her and then like around the corner, and then the next person.
And then the next
she wanted
person.
to have it just empty.
She just wanted to just be standing where she's
weird,
at.
I guess.
And it was like a clustered area.
Sure.
So everyone was like looking at her. I took a deep breath. I was like, so my options are I just blow past her, stand in her spot in line, or I say something to her. Luckily enough, the daughter was like, I'm just going to go stay in line, whatever. And the mom was like, and so she left, and the daughter stood in line. I'm just standing there. Suddenly, she pokes her head from around the corner to speak to her daughter. Hey, come here. Somehow, some way, I don't know if she knows someone at the Life Labs. They're at the front of the line. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So her daughter's just getting ready to get pricked or whatever. They're just waiting in the next sort of section of like, okay, we're going to call you to come wait in the waiting room and then prick. So I'm waiting in line. I get near the front and the lady's like calling people one at a time. She's like, John, room 3. And then John goes to the room, whatever. When it comes time to call this girl's name, she goes, Mary. That's her actual name. Maybe we should bleep that out, but it doesn't matter. She goes, Mary. And she goes, yeah. And everyone like in the area
She's
like
calling the kid or the mom?
Both of them. They're a package deal, like just like it's your turn kind of thing. Sure. She's like, Mary. She's like, yeah. And they're like sitting like far away from like the actual office. You know what I'm saying? So everyone's like looking at her like, why is she like she's been here for like 30 minutes. We all know the deal at this point.
Like get up and go to
Mary. Yeah, twice. And there's an old lady. There's an old lady behind me on God. On God. This 90-year-old woman behind me, she whispers under her breath, just get up and go to your fucking cubicle. on God, bro. And I was with her. I was literally like, my hand was on my...
And she went, oh. died on the spot.
And then that was it.
Those are her last words.
And then finally...
She had to get that was the last energy that she had.
She used it just to curse someone out.
I'd love that.
And then finally, Mary a third time. Mary, it's time. Like, you guys are up. Where are you? And she's like, oh, coming.
Like you didn't know.
Like she didn't know. So again, nothing major. Just minor inconveniences for a grumpy person in the morning.
Yeah.
But
that's really like Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm type
right?
stuff where it's like little things that, someone would do that's not necessarily like egregious, but it's like everyone's like, come on, dude.
Yeah. So I just, again, like I described it, I hate her with every fiber of my being. Haven't interacted with her. Probably will never see her again. But
this is interesting because when you said you had a Life Labs problem, I thought you were going to say people at Life Labs.
No.
Because when I was there
like
recently, like when I was there getting my shit done, and then I went actually not too more recently than that, with my grandmother because we had to she had to like drop something off there or whatever. I don't know what the fuck it was. But like when I went there with her and we had to like drop off something, they were like, oh, it's the wrong container. It's not the right container. And then my mom's like, this is the container they gave me. So I don't know what they're talking about. But even when I went and I was just there by myself, I didn't have an appointment because I was just going after my like doctor's appointment where they were like, hey, like, when my shoulder was kind of bugging me and she was like, get some blood work, see what's up. And I just got there at like 1 o'clock or whatever, and there was a handful of people in there, and they were just like, all right, like we'll call you whenever. And I had the Vita or whatever with me, so I was just playing some fucking Uncharted Golden Abyss.
I'm playing Uncharted as well.
There you go, very good. And there's like this lady beside me, but I just found that the workers were so like
pompous,
needlessly rude to everyone,
dude.
Especially some of the older people there. And my thing is like, our generation as old people, I don't think it's going to be the same because we're very like tech savvy in a way. But it's like when I look at old people now, especially someone like my grandma who's like fucking 84, 85 or whatever, and just does not get technology at all. Like when it's someone like her or other similar old people like of that generation who like don't necessarily get things as fast or like this, that, the other thing. There's so many times in life, but specifically at this fucking Life Labs in town, where like the people working there are like so short fused and like have no like understanding of like, and I get they probably have to deal with a lot of shit. Fine, whatever. But it's like when some 70, 80-year-old woman is just coming up to you and like they don't quite understand, the fucking online check-in
like, why don't you
whatever it is they were supposed to do. Like, just chill out a little bit. But they just go right to like antagonizing these old people.
You know what it is? I think it's what you said about like them dealing with a bunch of annoying shit all day. Because I relate to it on some level, but you do have to be able to adjust depending on the situation.
Yes.
Because like sometimes I'll be like in a bad mood at work because I've had 7 people just like throughout the day come in, leave a huge mess. They don't ask for like, they don't like try to clean it up, and they don't say like, they're not like thankful at all, and they're just really shitty the whole time, and they just like leave a huge mess and leave. I've had that happen to the point where I'm like, whoever's walking in, I'm not like happy to see them. So I might be like, hey, like, can I help you? Like, I'm not like necessarily like super friendly all the time. But then sometimes like I might be like, hey, how's it going? And then the person is like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And they're like, sweet. And immediately I'm like disarmed because I'm like, okay, this person's not my enemy. Like some of these people are annoying and they are shitty to me. So I'm just kind of, my guard is up, but I can put it down as soon as I see a nice person. So it's weird that they see like an 85-year-old who doesn't know how to use it, and they're the online system, and they're immediately like short with them. It's like, dude, like if you were them, you probably wouldn't know how to use it either.
It's really annoying because even for Patrick and I, it's the same thing where it's like at our job, we're interacting with like the public and people all the time.
People are annoying as shit.
And we get annoying as shit people or kids or whatever, like constantly. But every individual person I go up to, I always start from like square one of like, I don't know you. I don't know what vibe you're coming in with. I don't know if you just have a question or if you're being a pain in the ass or whatever it is. But I always go in with like a positive,
let's see what
like
happens.
let's see, or attitude. Even if I am like annoyed at something, at the very least, the worst you would ever bump into me is kind of more like maybe a little quieter and a little neutral. That's it.
Yes.
If people become a pain in the ass, then it's like, start the fucking fuse timer of like, I've only got so much bandwidth before like it gets more, go away kind of thing. But it's like when some old lady comes into our work and is like, oh, I don't understand this, or like they fucked something up. Like I'm never like giving them shit of like, oh, you idiot. Like, why didn't you get this? It's always just like, no, like, sorry, you can't do that. It's got to be done this way. Maybe don't worry about it now, but for future reference, yeah. Like, and I just don't get why that's so hard.
Dude, my boss the other day, I love him, but he gets really upset when people return shit. It's just like, it doesn't take that long to return anything. It's just like he gets so upset because we get like online returns a lot, and you'll see this at the mall a lot. You'll watch people walk around with cardboard boxes. This is like a whole phenomenon now of like people will order like 3-4 pairs of shoes on the website and then come in with like cardboard boxes just to return everything, because like they now apparently like you have to like pay for shipping back to the to return it back to the warehouse or something like that, or like, so no one wants to return online. Most people don't even know how to do it, and then they just come in and return stuff, and it's just like it brings our budget down, and it's annoying, whatever. So this lady came in to return like 2 shoes. My boss kind of like, he's angry, he's like putting the shoes down, like kind of like slamming them a little bit and like doing all this stuff. And then I remember like as she's talking to him, I'm standing beside him because I'm cashing someone else out, and she looks over at me and she goes, she does one of those, being like, what the fuck's this guy, what's this guy's deal? And I kind of like smile and like nod, like I get it. But like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like it's so easy if you work in the retail field or like just like customer service or something to be like, I don't know, annoyed with people in general and just like have a negative view of people. But you just gotta like consciously like calm yourself down, because it's so easy to just naturally fall into like, what do you want?
Well, that's my base. Like in my head, generally,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk. As we've discussed, I hate people. I don't
Yeah.
want to talk to people. I don't want to interact with people.
Yeah.
Just leave me the fuck
I'm
alone.
trying to give him a shot.
But like, it depends too. Where it's like when I'm at like a store or whatever, you
Mm.
know, and we've talked about this, where like somebody comes up to me like, "Hey man, if there's anything I can help you with, blah blah blah," and I was kind of like, "Yeah, like." Either I know what I'm looking for or I'm just browsing, like, go away kind of thing. But that's like because I'm the customer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm the employee of the like place or whatever, I'm the guy who being like, hey, if there's anything you like need help with kind of thing. Like, because it's you just have to be professional. I don't get the like
Sure.
how people just don't.
Yeah.
Like, again, I get it. People have a lot going on in their lives with, you know, whatever hours, this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. You have to, like, deal with a lot of people and eat a lot of shit from people.
I think the
But
years,
it's like,
I think the years wane on you probably. Like,
Sure.
if you're like been working in that lab for like 20 years,
Well,
it's like, you know,
considering I've been at the place I'm at
For, like,
for
5.
like 7.5, like this
Sure.
September's 8 years, I'm definitely at the point where I have a lot shorter of a fuse
and you still think it's not warranted
for
even
people. But that's the thing where it's like I have a shorter fuse when it's like the dumb people or the people doing something they shouldn't or like
Sure.
this, that, that. But when the old person or the kid comes in who like is just asking a question or doesn't quite understand something, like I always take it from a very like, you know, no worries, like it's fine, just blah blah blah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
here's what to do,
They're
you
not
know, whatever.
malicious with it.
But I'm not like it's more the thing of like when somebody is in and stupid or if they're being like belligerent or whatever, the fuse on that of like how much, you know, shit I'll kind of eat on that has like shrunk a lot where I'm kind of at the point now of like, you know, I'm trying to get out of here. Like this isn't that important to me as it was, you know, like in high school or college when I like was making money and all this stuff. Like,
can I run a scenario by you guys and you tell me if I'm wrong for being upset about it?
please.
Okay, so let's say a customer comes in and they ask you for a specific shoe. They even show you a picture on their phone or something, and they're like, I want this shoe. Do you have it? Because they saw it on the website or something, and they want X size. So I grab it for them. They look at it. They're like, perfect. They're looking, and then they're like, do you have like a new version, like a new one of this or whatever? Like a new pair? And I'm like, oh, like this one is like, all of our shoes are on the floor for the most part. So like they all have the opportunity to be worn. So there's no guarantee that they're like completely unworn or anything. And then I'm like, is there anything wrong with them? Like I usually go like very like nice. I'm like, is there anything wrong with them or anything? And then they're like, oh yeah, it's just this. And I swear to God, most of the time I can't see what they're talking about. They're like, it's this. And then they're pointing and it's like maybe like the tiniest scuff mark you could ever see on like a pair of white shoes. And I'm like, as soon as you wear them one time, they're going to look 10 times worse than this. Anyway, I don't tell them that. I just go like, sure, yeah, I'll look for one. And then I grab another one. And I've had people have 5 pairs of the same shoe and they're like debating and they're swapping pairs and all this shit just to like not take it or not buy it or like am I shitty for being upset about that?
That's
Because
madness,
to me
bro.
that's crazy.
That's madness.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, am I being like closed-minded about this? Like, is it normal to want the exact perfect pair? Because to me in my head, I'm like, who cares? Just take them.
Do people ever do that though at the like trying to get like some sort of discount or deal or anything?
1,000%. They
'Cause,
say like, can you do extra discount on these? And I'm like, they're not damaged, so I can't do anything. But they're like, oh, but it has the. I'm like, yeah, but that's just like a tiny little wrinkle. That's not damage. Like,
Yeah, because to me it depends. Like I remember one time going to the comic book store here in town, and this was like when they were newer and before my buddy was working there, who's sadly not there anymore. But like, I remember going in one time and just grabbing like a fucking Flash comic or whatever the hell I was getting, and like the bottom corner had like just the slightest fold in it of like the cover or whatever. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like this isn't ideal, but I don't give a shit. And like brought it to the counter. And the lady working there was like, oh, like, are there any more of this one on the shelf? And I was like, no, like that was the only one over. And she's like, oh, like it's got this little bend in it. I was like, yeah, whatever. And she's like, you know, sorry about that. And she like knocked the tax off.
That's cool.
Or like took $5 off for it. Totally like didn't have to do it. I wasn't asking, blah, 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 blah. And so I appreciated it. But like that's my thing where I wonder if it's people trying to find like you know, the most microscopic imperfection to like fish for shit of like
sometimes it's that, but other times it's just like they genuinely like want a perfect looking shoe just for themselves or for whoever they're giving it to or something. Like they just want it to be like pristine. And I tell them all the time, like it's all real leather, so like it's never gonna be like absolutely spotless. Like leather is not a perfect material. Like there's gonna be imperfections or maybe there's gonna be a slight blotch here or it's little.
It's not a fucking katana from the samurai age
yeah.
that some guy slaved over for 3 years. Like
Yeah.
that's gonna have, you know, wear and tear on it.
So sometimes I'll get short with those people and I'll be like, you know, Yeah, like there's no damage with that one, so like that's that one's good.
I feel like the idiosyncrasies that arise with leather is part of the charm of leather.
1,000%.
Also, yes,
like, yeah.
leather is inherently, it's like
When it's
the
worn,
rugged, worn-in kind of look.
even if you want a leather bag, I don't want a leather bag that's like spotless and smooth. I want it to be like kind of like maybe there's like a wrinkle here and there, and there's like kind of like discoloration and like some cool looking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Like it's worn. Anyways,
I guess we'll get started. Welcome back to episode, I think, 64.
5 away.
5 away. Of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, usually nothing. I, as always, am 1/3 of your host and crew, Mr. Matthew Urso. And I am joined by, once again, Patrick and Mark. Malcolm could not be here to join us. I believe he's in Montreal.
He's in Montreal?
Coward.
Text
If
me
you like
about-
the show, please like, share, subscribe. We're everywhere. Even the places you don't want. Shout out Google Podcasts. Well, I guess we'll get started with it because we have a bit of a deadline today, a bit of a hard out, so we'll keep this episode brief. Gentlemen, my topic today is I wanted to talk about streaming services, particularly of the movie and TV variety.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I just say right off the bat?
Please.
It makes me so upset how many streaming services there are.
Well, I
Blood
have
red
two
mad.
things I wanted to get into this topic with. One was going
So you have
through.
to pay for all of them.
I have 7 streaming services listed here,
Okay.
so I figured we could kind of just go through them, talk about maybe which ones are like our
The
favorites, the best. But I also wanted part of the conversation to be about like the state of streaming services and the sort of, streaming wars, as they call it, as all these different companies are competing for, your eyeballs and your dollars. More importantly, the dollars with these streaming services, and how I know people make the joke that it's like we've basically just gone back to cable, where it's like all these different channels with their own specific networking, and the fact that they all basically have ads now, because like Varsh and I were watching.
Except for Netflix.
Netflix has ads now.
I know. What? It does?
I've heard some people say they haven't like seen it yet or gotten it yet.
Yeah.
So either people are paying for the higher tiers and they don't know it, or they're
Disney-
like slowly rolling it out. But Varsh and I at my house yesterday and like last week and whatever, we're watching Netflix, and like in the middle of shows and shit,
In the
there'd be
middle
like a
of
one
fucking-
15-second ad break here and like another 15-second ad break there.
You know what it is? So I started rewatching Stranger Things, like I told you guys, and I downloaded a bunch of the episodes,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
why.
doing this thing where it's like, once I've watched an episode, it lets it go like out of the downloads, and then automatically it's downloading a newer episode. So I think I've been watching offline this whole time.
Probably.
Anyways,
You know what?
I'm sure there's ways around it. Like I'm sure, yeah, if you are like offline, maybe that's a way around. Like if it's downloaded.
But Disney, I've never had an ad with Disney Plus. Like I've been watching Disney Plus shows like Dave, and we're watching The Bear, and I've never had an ad like in the middle of The Bear or at the beginning of it. Like
I don't think Disney
Maybe, like-
Plus has it yet.
I think they might have like maybe like at the beginning of a movie or something. They have like an ad, maybe.
Sometimes
But I think
they're one of the holdouts as far as I know, but like
they'll get there.
Prime does it, Netflix does it. Crave doesn't have like ads in the middle, I don't think, but they have more
In
like
the beginning, probably.
they'll just have like ads for their other shows like before whatever you're watching or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's a whole fucking mess, but we'll get into it here. The streamers, gentlemen. We begin with sort of in a lot of ways the granddaddy of it all.
Sure.
Netflix.
Okay. So what do we want to talk about? Like rank it? Do you want to rank it?
I don't know if we want to like rank these 7 necessarily. We can sort of
Or, like,
toss out
rate
which
them?
ones are our favorite, but yeah, maybe like rate them and just kind of, what do we like, what do we not like, what programming does it have, what are
wanna
the
start, Patrick?
advantages?
I was gonna say I don't like that I didn't invest in Netflix.
Mm.
I don't like that I was a child when it was first.
I don't.
first
I
created.
don't like that I wasn't like a kid or like a adult
In
in
the
the like
80s?
70s and the 80s investing in Apple. Go on.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, cause come on, what are we
Dude.
talking about here? The stock price?
I feel like when it comes to Netflix, I think it's like a really good, well-rounded streaming service. I think they have like some really good movies, some really good shows, but there's nothing on there that I'm like, I need to watch this. There's none of the originals that I'm like, I need to watch this. None of the original movies I'm like, I need to watch. But they just have like, they're really reliable, and I think they have like a good library of shit, and they're always like adding some like classics and stuff. So I think to me, like if I had to rank or rate Netflix, it would be like a 6 or a 7. It's like very reliable all the time. Maybe like a 7. I like Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix for me, not to blow too much smoke up their ass, is
Sure.
almost like the Nintendo of the streaming world, where I feel like because they're sort of the OG, they get a lot of brownie points for just being there like the longest and the first. I know even that's not true with Nintendo because you have like Atari and shit like that, but who the fuck's still thinking about Atari? Where it's like, are there other companies maybe around the time or before Netflix? Maybe, but who the fuck thinks about those? Like Netflix is sort of the one that a lot of these things are sort of like trying to emulate and based on.
Yeah.
I like Netflix a lot. I think it is always reliable. They get a bunch of brownie points because as of yesterday, Godzilla -1 added to Netflix.
Oh.
So fucking excited. I have like other shit to do, but I also kind of just want to go home and force my parents to just sit down and watch it later. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Netflix is really good. This gets really nerdy, but I like the user interface. Like the UI, I think is really good. I think it works pretty well because some of these other services I can get into it where it's like trying to use the apps on either my computer or my PS5 or my smart TV. Like some of these apps are so shitty in the way they run. Like we'll get to Crave, but it's like the amount of times I hit the button on my remote on Crave, work. The fucking input delay is like 10 seconds. I'm like, what are you doing? Whereas at least Netflix is like, what? Can you close the curtain? More? The beam of light on Jason Voorhees' head over here. I think that's as good as you're gonna get. I'm sure it's fine how the sausage gets made. But yeah, so I feel like Netflix is just reliable in a lot of ways. What I really like about Netflix is how they're trying to keep things interesting in other ways. Like a lot of the stuff they've been doing with video games is really interesting, where they've built up a pretty decent library of games that you can just play for free as long as you have like a Netflix subscription. Sure. I have a bunch downloaded on my phone that you can play, but they're slowly starting to work on getting them running on like TVs, because even the newer smart TV I have in my basement that I use with my video games and everything, that Netflix app has a handful of games on it, and it says like, with a couple of these games, scan this QR code with your phone, and then your phone is like the controller while you're playing the Netflix game on the TV. So they're doing interesting things like that.
Sounds unholy.
I like how they've been doing it they've been doing live stuff too. So they did the roast of Tom Brady, which was really cool. And it was just like a fun thing to watch. And like they hosted it, and it was like you just open Netflix and it would be like live now, and it would be like that. And you click on it, and it just like it's like when you click a YouTube live video where it's like the red bar filled to the end. Yeah. And it's like you're just watching it live. You can go back and whatever. And then they're doing like sporting events now. I know like the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson thing.
That's right.
Recently got delayed. Yeah. Like until later this year. It was supposed to be like this month or something. But now it's anyway. Like the fact that they're doing that is pretty cool. They're doing like Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen in a boxing match on Netflix. Like they're trying to like kind of branch out and do other shit, which a lot of other streaming platforms are not doing. So that's pretty cool.
Honestly, you're right. I never really thought about like they're not stagnant. They're the OGs, and they're trying to like keep advancing their platform.
I think Netflix knows that because they're sort of the OG, and for so long they were the top dog, and they're not really anymore. I think they must know internally, like, we have to sort of do these other things
stay relevant
to like stay relevant and keep it interesting. So it is like, we'll do live stuff. It is like we'll slowly kind of broach into like the gaming world and all these things.
I still think they're, even though they may not necessarily, I don't know if I think they might be. Maybe not anymore. I think they're still a part of the big, like the top 3.
For sure. Yeah, I would assume so.
Like there's 2 other ones that I have in mind that are like also a part of the top 3 now.
Yeah.
And we'll get to those. But honestly, like hearing you speak about the user interface, that's big too, because I've been using like on my PlayStation, like other streaming services that are not Netflix. And sometimes to just like, I scroll and then it goes, but then it goes back. Or I go down and it doesn't go down.
Or things just like delay. Like there's other services where it's like you're scrolling through shit, but you're scrolling faster than it can keep up with. Yep. So it's just like blank tiles, and then it has to like take a second to load in.
Have you ever tried to reverse, like go back, like what do you call it? Replay something, like go back, and it's like some streaming services are so annoying with the way they do that. There's one in particular that I've been using that like every time I go back, and then like I do it and I click X, like it stays at the same spot, or it like goes way too far. And it's like with Netflix, if you like with their PlayStation controller with your remote, you just hold, it'll start to like smoothly scroll. Like there's no like weird choppy like.
Doesn't Netflix have similar to YouTube like a 10 or 15 second forwards
Jump.
or backwards button? Whereas like Disney Plus, for example, doesn't. So it's just rewinding.
For me, it does
like,
on my PlayStation. I can like flick the left stick like once to the left, and it'll go back 10 seconds. But
that's more like a PlayStation specific setting, probably.
Probably, but that being said, like it's horrible on the PlayStation. Like I just flick and it just doesn't work, or it goes back 30 instead of 10 or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it's really choppy on Disney Plus.
Anyway,
so there you go, Netflix. The next one I have here, Crave.
Why is that a thing? Why is Crave a thing, bro?
Our
Crave?
Canadian version of HBO Max.
Crave is to me like, I think it's quality over quantity.
Sure.
In general with Crave, I think that they have like, well, they have all the HBO shows you would ever want, all of them, but you can't watch them anywhere else. You have to stream them on some random ass like sketchy website. So if you want to watch Sopranos, you want to watch Game of Thrones, or any of these shows, you have them on there, and there's just a lot of quality, award-winning shows and movies on there. And I think it's more for like people who are not as like casual of movie watchers, like people who want specific movies and shows that like they've been waiting to watch or are just like classics and stuff. So that's why I got Crave. There's like a bunch of movies and shows I've been wanting to watch that aren't on anything else. So I think it's like very niche, but like fun to have around. Like I like having it, and it's not like insanely expensive. I don't think. I don't even know how much I pay for it, to be honest. But
I didn't even know they had all those shows on it.
Can I open it right now?
I think the only show that I knew up until that spiel you just gave was Big Bang Theory. And in my mind, I was like, wait, why is Big Bang Theory the only thing on Crave? Why is Crave even a thing? You know what I'm saying?
Can I just read some of the shit on my watch list on Crave? Just so we get an idea.
For you.
Yeah. So Dune Part 2 on there.
Which they just got.
La La Land, Nope, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Mad Max Fury Road, Incendies, a bunch of old movies I have here, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Space Jam. They got the original Batman, they got The Exorcist, Beetlejuice, and then now we have the shows. They have like original shows like Chernobyl, which I've heard is incredible, the miniseries, The Wire, which people regard as one of the greatest shows of all time, Boardwalk Empire, all the Hobbit movies.
The Hobbits?
Yeah, all the Hobbits. They got like The Shining, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Good Will Hunting. They have Goodfellas, The Northman, all the Lord of the Rings, all the Rocky movies. Yeah. Watchmen, they have Succession, they have like Game of Thrones, Peacemaker, Euphoria, Sopranos, all these like original HBO things that are amazing.
Yeah.
Here we got a bunch of shit Matty's showing us here.
Yeah, I think I like Crave. I think Crave is arguably the best streaming service purely in terms of like quality television, which it gets a lot of brownie points because of like all the legacy HBO stuff.
Dude, I've never seen Spawn. Is that good?
I haven't finished it, but I really like it. It won like Emmys and shit back in the day when it came. But here's my thing with streaming services when I think about it, and even with just some of the stuff Mark was rattling off. I feel like its kind of content is broken down into like original programming, like back catalog of whatever, like a newer thing like Dune, or like, you know, old shit like Rocky or whatever. With Crave, it's because it's the HBO equivalent, like it gets all the DC stuff too, so obviously that's a draw for me. So I feel like it's like the original programming, all the like legacy or like just basic whatever, like, you know, fucking Jurassic Park or Forrest Gump, like whatever the fuck.
Popular franchises.
And then it's like the more deeper cuts, which for like a Crave, to me, Spawn is like a cool deeper cut. So I feel, or even like Netflix having like a pretty sizable like anime catalog to it, and the fact that they've added like JoJo and My Hero and Attack on Titan and like Hunter x Hunter and all this shit. Full Metal Alchemist. I feel like that's kind of a way of looking at it, and on that front, Crave gets so much brownie points because it is anything and everything HBO, from Sopranos to Curb Your Enthusiasm to Last of Us, Tokyo Vice, Chernobyl, HBO. Which I haven't watched, Watchmen, which I watched most of and never finished, but I want to get back to it at some point. I have it on my list here. I've never watched Westworld, but I've always wanted to do Peacemaker, which is fucking fantastic.
I heard The Minx is great. The Minx.
And for me personally, liking my politically kind of funny haha shows, Crave is the service that gets John Oliver's show and Bill Maher's show, and the episodes get put, like after they're aired live on like Sunday or whatever, get put up the next day on Crave. So like every Monday or Tuesday, I watch John Oliver's thing just at home or whatever.
I want to start watching Bill Maher.
He's hilarious. But I've honestly like, I started watching Crave because Last of Us came out, and I wanted to watch it in like 4K, like, you know, good quality, like consistently every time they pull it up. And then when I went on there and I looked at all their movies and shows, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like actually use this a lot, and I feel like I do.
Yeah, I'm really hoping you guys know the answer to this question.
Yeah,
because this is a really important question, and it grinds my gears.
Okay.
Okay. Please explain to me why Netflix in Egypt or in England or in America is different from Netflix in Canada.
I don't know what the like thing is.
Let me finish. Hold on, sorry. There are things in Netflix Egypt, like Rick and Morty, that are Prime in Canada. So if Netflix has the right to Rick and Morty, why can't they just have it on Netflix Canada?
I'm sure if I had to venture a guess, I'm sure it's all just like these weird different like licensing deals and all this different shit about like some streaming services have some things in some regions but like not in others. So some stuff's like region locked and then other shit's not. Like I don't know what it is specifically, but I'm sure it's all just like a bunch of boring ass legal reasons and like all these licensing things and all that have it all like why it's broken up in that way.
I also think other different regions might have like if you're like in Egypt, then there's going to be a lot more Arabic shit than there would be in Canada. So I'm assuming a part of it is like having more tailored content.
I don't know if Netflix in Egypt has Arabic stuff,
doesn't?
though. I don't think it does.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong then. But I figured it would. I figured that's maybe why. That's like I figured that would be the main reason, just to tailor specific stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, like there's no way Rick and Morty is more popular in Egypt than it is in Canada.
No way.
You know, so
no way. And here's my train of thought though. Hypothetically, let's say because Netflix is one of the more popular ones, that it has like a bunch of these shows that are like different here. If we just got a VPN,
sure,
then we could like technically have access to the whole Netflix
all kinds
world
of people
catalog.
Do that where they're like, I just use people who use like a NordVPN or an ExpressVPN or any of those things.
I have a VPN, but I don't think I can. If I open my Netflix app, like I don't think like you have to change your DNS.
You have to set it, like in the VPN, you would make your location, fucking Tokyo, and then like open up apps through that VPN.
I don't know if the Google VPN I have lets you set locations. I don't know. I don't know.
Anyways, Crave. So yeah, I think Crave is a strong one. I think it is like, to Mark's point, it's a little less. It's not maybe as like constant as some of the other services, I guess, with like their original shit. But like when it comes, it's usually.
Can you go through like? Can you click on like movies? Like on the top there, just so Patrick can get an idea of like what sort of movies they got.
Well,
so like
Dune recently would be
to me, like,
a big one.
To me, this is great to have right on there because it's like it's a brand new movie and people are loving it. If you like scroll down, what is it gonna show?
Was recently added shit. Prevails.
So like Blockbuster
movies. Barbie.
They have all the Harry Potter movies. They have Barbie. They have Mad Max.
You know what's unfortunate?
Can you scroll through the Blockbuster shit? Dude, look it down there.
Parasite,
Northman, Beetlejuice.
Like, this is actually wild. You know what's unfortunate?
On,
I was in my kitchen last
favorite movie.
Good Will Hunting.
I was in my kitchen last week, and my dad comes up to me and he goes, "Yo, we got a lot of services right now." I was like, "Yeah, I guess we do." And he was like, "I just canceled Crave." I was like, "Okay,
damn.
I don't use it." I was like,
Nope, Social Network, Spider-Man.
Here's the thing: I don't pay for any of this streaming services that we use because my parents just pay for everything.
Well, we pay for Disney Plus.
Well, sure, we pay for Disney Plus personally, but I am very much of the opinion that like if I'm ever in a situation where like if I'm living on my own or whatever and I'm paying for my own streaming services, I am absolutely going to be one of those motherfuckers that is like paying for each of them monthly, and it's like, oh, a show on Crave I want to watch, I'll get it for April, and then when I'm done the show by the end of April, cancel it, and then like ping pong over to like Disney Plus, do like a month there. Like because I don't pay for any of it now, I don't really give a shit. But if I'm in the position where I'm paying for it, I would absolutely be one of those people who's like at the end of every month going through the list of like, don't need Netflix this month, don't need this one this month, don't need this one this month. Yes, I need this one, don't need this one. And I would just be like so judicious about it, just purely for the like penny pinching aspect of it.
You know what I feel like? I feel like even though we're talking about, and we can get back to this at the end when we're talking about like our overall thoughts about streaming services, but I feel like to me, even though we're saying it's coming back to cable sort of model, I still prefer it, to be honest.
This is definitely the better way.
Yeah, because even though I'm paying like right now I'm paying for these streaming services personally. I'm paying for Disney Plus with you guys, Crave, Prime, and Crave and Prime. Crave, Prime, Disney Plus. Those are the ones I pay for. And Netflix, my family pays for. So I'm only paying for 3, totaling maybe like $50 a month for all of them. Whereas like if I was paying for cable, a lot of people pay like $100 for cable or whatever. I don't know what the price is now, but like I'm sure it's at least 50, if not way more. Yeah. And then you don't get to select what you want to watch and when you want to watch it, and you don't like. There's so much more options. The thing that's bothering me now is the ads. Like I don't like that they're moving towards that. But even then, I'd still prefer it over cable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the streaming stuff for now, anyways, it hasn't like crossed the line yet.
It will.
but I think it's definitely the way to go. Like, I think it is definitely a better
like if you have cable at this point, like
situation.
Yeah, what are you doing if you got
why? Sporting events is the only thing that a lot of people still want to keep cable on for. But even then, like streaming. But the thing is, if I'm not gonna do illegal streaming and find random websites and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I did air quotes. It's illegal.
Yeah.
But if I'm not gonna watch on like random ass websites, like where am I gonna watch my sports? Like if I wanted to watch the Leaf playoffs, like where am I gonna watch it?
Oh wait,
I guess
you buy an
CBC maybe.
streams it live on their website.
Yeah.
So like, why would you ever pay for? And then even like, but like if you want to watch Premier League, what are you gonna watch it on?
DAZN.
No, it's Fubo. Fubo has the.
You pay for Fubo?
Streamings. I don't pay.
So
that's the
if
thing.
you want to watch, just go on a
Well, we have
website.
I mean, I don't want to incriminate myself here, but we've got a box.
I didn't include any of them, but there's like there's tons of like.
Wait, Maddie, do you have the box?
Can we talk about the box? Do you know what the box is?
I know what it is, but I don't have the box.
But isn't it funny that there's no specific product we're talking about?
It's just
but everyone just knows.
Yeah.
I have a box, like whether it's like and then you pay like the way I understand it works is like you pay a certain fee per year, and you just. Is that it? You pay a certain.
You want to pick this up?
Sure.
Hello. Hello.
Is he calling me?
You're on the podcast right now.
We could cut this out.
Okay, bye.
She didn't want to be on there at all.
Your mom did not want to be on. Anyway, so yeah, Crave, thanks. But sports, yeah, I didn't include any of those, but there's a whole.
If she was on Rogan, she'd probably want to say something.
Honestly, the box is like, we got it because of the Arabic stuff, right? But my dad didn't even know that it came with all these different perks. There's like live, like Food Network we just have with the box.
And live sporting events from every country in the world.
Exactly.
Like, it'll be like you can watch you can click England and it'll be like all the UK channels.
Exactly. Or Canadian, watch the Leafs.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he pays what, a year? I think it's like $70 a year.
Super worth it. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with that is though,
it's illegal.
It's not illegal to own one. I don't think it's illegal to be distributing it. I believe, isn't it? Or it's like the same idea with like. Well, I don't know about that, but I know for like, if you want to watch like on a sketchy website like a sporting event, it's illegal to be the one who's distributing it to everybody and being the originator of the stream.
Okay.
But if you tune into this, if me and you tune into a stream, we're not breaking any laws by tuning into the stream.
Oh, okay.
But you would be breaking a law if you were like live screen recording a sporting event from an official website and then like scamming it. To,
I see.
I think it's like even like for UFC, you'd be doing something illegal if you were like. If you were creating a website and putting it on there for people to watch and it has ads and all this weird like it's like a scammy like a sketchy website, but you wouldn't be doing anything illegal if you were just tuning into it. Or
that's
right. We arrive next to Amazon Prime, another big one.
I want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I go?
Sure.
I think Amazon Prime is one of the worst ones.
I was gonna say the opposite. I was gonna say it's one of the better ones.
Well, my reason is because there's like a bunch of shit on there. That you just need extra subscriptions to watch.
That's true.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
We'll get to that.
So why am I paying for Amazon Prime and why is it on your catalog if I can't just watch it?
Here's the thing though, like that's 100% true and I wasn't thinking about that, but I just feel like what Prime has going for it, and I'm sure Matty you were gonna touch on this, is like the original stuff. Like we're talking about The Boys, we're talking about Invincible.
Was Mr. Robot a Prime original?
No, but like there's a bunch of good Prime original shows. And to me, the best thing that they have going for them is their movie selection. I think last time I've checked, like they have like some of the best movie selection in my opinion, in terms of like quality and quantity. Like they have a lot of good shit. And as far as I remember, maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't know, Matty. What do you think?
I really like Amazon Prime. I think a lot of their original stuff. Oh, I didn't know Drive was on here. I think a lot of their original stuff is like really good. Specifically, the stuff that's like very up my alley of Boys, Invincible, Fallout, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, Fallout's original for Prime. I didn't know that.
I know my mom loves watching fucking Jack Reacher on here, so like big draw for my mom. Shout out. I think they have a good movie selection too. Even just looking at it really quick, where it's like Iron Claw's on here and like fucking
Iron Claw's on there. I didn't know that.
And like Oppenheimer and like Holdovers and Anatomy of a Fall, which were both what
Holdovers. I've heard it's
I
fantastic.
saw some of it with my parents, but like Holdovers and Anatomy of a Fall were both like Oscar nom movies last year.
Good Will Hunting.
I've always wanted to watch
do you have to
Midnight in
Me
Paris.
too. I've always wanted to watch. You know who directed Midnight in Paris? Roman Polanski.
Ah.
He also did. He married his stepdaughter.
This is true. Yeah,
but
Roman
he also-
Polanski, bit of an interesting
But
character.
he also directed, to me, one of the best movies of all time, and definitely the best Holocaust movie of all time, The Pianist. He directed that, and he directed Midnight in Paris, which I've heard is fantastic.
But here it's got stuff like, Mr. Robot I just went past, Superstar, which Farsh and I have been watching on Netflix, Supernatural, Preacher, fucking
Matthew.
Smallville. Yes.
Can you go back to Good Will Hunting and just see if you need a subscription to watch it?
No, definitely not.
No, it's included with Prime.
Okay, so why can't
Interestingly,
some
on this, it
streaming
says
services-
that my subscription thing, and this is from my mom's one, it says Prime and Paramount Plus. I don't know what that's all about.
So you have Paramount Plus.
Maybe
I'm
we're going
curious
to
to
get
see
to
if I
that
have
one
that.
too. Yeah, and Prime's interesting because they get a lot of like some AMC stuff and whatever. But yeah, they have these things where it's like Stack TV, Shudder, AMC Plus,
Dude, you know that-
Hollywood Suite, Stars, Sportsnet. Like Amazon's interesting because it has. Here's my thing with Amazon. To your point, they have other subscriptions within Prime, but I find them all like supplementary, and it doesn't really bother me. It's not like we'll get to Apple TV Plus, where I find Apple TV outside of its original shows has basically nothing. Like anything else you want to watch on there is all just either rent or buy or like other subscription services.
I've never once opened up Apple TV.
I don't.
Plus
You have
or-
it? I don't have it.
I don't have it.
Me neither.
And I don't know what's
think-
on it. I don't hear anyone talk
so-
about it.
Also, I've heard that there's like a couple of good original shows on there. Like
Yes.
there's like the morning show, which I've heard is great. It's like the one with Steve Carell and I'm not sure who
Oh.
else is in that show. I
Isn't
don't
the
know.
morning show the one with Jennifer Aniston and
Is
is it Reese
Reese Witherspoon?
What's the one that Steve Carell's a part of? Oh, I think of the one who's like a therapist or something.
Wait, isn't there one where he's like a air
Space
like
Force.
an army
Oh
general?
yeah, Space Force.
There's one with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel on Apple that my parents liked. I haven't finished it yet, but that Monarch Godzilla show they did was on there too. There's that what the hell is it called? Is it Severance? No, what the fuck is it? The one with Adam
Succession?
Scott from Parks and Rec.
Oh,
Ben from Parks
I
and
know
Rec.
which one
What
you're
the
It's
fuck
the
is
one
that
with
show
like he's
called?
like side profile.
Yes. What the fuck is that show
Um,
called?
Let me think.
We'll find
is it
once
called
we get to
Severance?
I thought it was maybe Severance. I don't know. We'll find it when we get to Apple Plus, anyways.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, I like Prime. Similar to Netflix, Prime is interesting because it comes built in with Amazon Prime, like
That's a
the
plus.
shipping service. And I don't even know why I don't really take advantage of this because I could and just forego paying Spotify, even though I love Spotify. But it comes with Amazon Music too.
Does it have all the things Spotify has?
I think so. I think it's just like it's like an Apple Music or a Spot. Like it's just another
Doesn't have
music
Wildly
streaming.
Adequate.
But I think
Doesn't have Wildly Adequate. I
But-
don't think we're on Amazon Music service. But like the fact that it's like music, TV, shipping,
a good
similar
deal.
to Netflix
It's a
being
good
like
deal.
I'm swayed.
similar
It's
to
okay. You know what? It's good.
similar to Netflix being like, you know, Netflix, video games, and then like, you know, whatever else. Like I appreciate that Prime is also trying to sort of like
Give you your bang for your buck.
play the field of like we're gonna have our hands in these different cookie jars.
I also like what they did with students, where you could, if you're a student in university or college, you can get like it's like $5 a month
Yeah.
for the shipping service and for this and for like
The
that's
music,
a lot.
all
Yeah.
$5 a month.
Yeah.
And even now, even though I'm not technically
You're a
They-
student.
no, because they actually only do it for 4 years undergrad. After that, I tried to do it, and it was like, oh, you've done your
You've reached
4-year
your
limit or whatever.
Oh.
And I felt broke and sad, but
Oh.
So yeah, I like Prime. I don't think it's necessarily like that
it's not the best.
stand out
No.
overall, but
No.
I think it's like another solid
100%.
contender. We move on. What do I have next on my list here? Oh boy, to the one and only, the House of Mouse,
I couldn't even. I don't
Disney
even know-
Plus.
Oh, Disney. Okay. I'm
Disney
like, wait. I feel like we went through all the services
Okay.
already.
Can I just say, I think at this point in my life, like Disney Plus is the one I use the most.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think
Sure.
it's because of the shows I've been watching. I like that they have Hulu,
Mm.
like the FX stuff, all the FX shows. Like, can you pull that up somehow? Is there like a section on here? that is, like,
I don't think there's a specific section
But if you go like
for
TV,
that.
if you go like series, if you go to series on top there,
Series-
I want to see like what categories
They have Shogun, which I haven't started yet, but I
yes.
fucking want to get to.
All that. There's a lot of great FX shows that they have
Atlanta.
on here. Let's see what they got.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is an FX
Sure.
show that's on here.
Oh, can you go back to the main page actually? Sorry. Like I love that they have like the organization of like if you want to watch Disney stuff, there's Disney movies. If you want to watch Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, like I've actually never watched any National Geographic stuff, but
It's well categorized.
yes.
I think the UI and all that, just getting into that nerdy stuff, is relatively fine
I
on
think so.
here.
Yeah.
Disney Plus is a big one for me because it's like obviously I love all the, you know, being a Marvel fan or whatever. Like it's fun having not only all the like movies and MCU stuff and even that like being very well categorized, but then obviously having like, you know, X-Men 97, which is fucking jaw-droppingly good, but then having like all the legacy animation stuff of like being able to watch Spectacular Spider-Man, the greatest Spider-Man cartoon ever, or like the '90s Spider-Man, or like Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and like being able to watch all these like.
Is that Guardians of the Galaxy still supposed to be good?
I've never actually seen it, but I think it's pretty good. But like having the animated stuff is awesome. I like their behind the scenes stuff they have on like a lot of the MCU movies.
That's sick that they have. So they actually organized it by like chronological. Like,
yeah, they have like the MCU both in like chronological timeline and in like movie like
That's
release
sick.
order
That's
kind
cool.
of
If
thing.
you wanted to watch it in like historical, like in the universe. Like,
Yeah.
this was the
Yeah,
first
and then
thing
they've
ever.
even got like
That's dope.
character collections where it would be like a bunch of movies with Black Panther or Ant-Man, all this shit. Like
What the hell's that?
Which one?
What's the consultant?
They did back in the day. The MCU did. They actually have them all on here. They did these like one-off little shorts that like I don't know how much they're canon, but there's like a couple with Coulson here. This fucking guy who's also in this Coulson one from Winter Soldier, one of these Hydra pricks. They have like an Agent Carter one. They have one about the fucking not Mandarin from like Iron Man 3.
About that?
Still upset. So they have like they made a couple of these like one-shot little things that they have on here
Guardians of
too.
the Galaxy 3 is one of the best movies ever, dude.
Obviously, they've got like all the Netflix stuff on here now, which is cool. Some of the extended stuff, like the X-Men and like the non-MCU.
Did you ever watch the New Mutants?
Spider-Man? I never did.
I heard it was very bad.
Yeah, I didn't hear great things about it, but I mean, I'm mildly.
There's an
curious.
overwhelming amount of
What about
Marvel
movies? What
stuff.
if you just click on movies? What happens on the top there?
Obviously, they've got Disney and Pixar. They've got Star Wars now, which is a whole other thing. I just think Disney's really solid overall. I think their movie selection and like TV and all that is really strong.
I agree.
Their original programming. If you don't like Star Wars and the MCU, I guess their original programming's not really gonna be for you. But like every once in a while, for every fucking Secret Invasion, you get an X-Men '97 kind of thing.
You ever watch the creators?
Yes, I wanted to put that on our wheel at some point because I really like the creator. The creator was really cool. Cool. Jesus, I'm having a stroke today.
Wait, where are the rest of the movies? Is it just like spotlighted stuff right now?
I guess this is just like the main featured. Yeah, and then they've got all kinds of IMAX, all that kind of
Enhanced?
stuff.
What's that? Can you click that? I don't know.
I think they have like stuff that is like technically IMAX. It's mostly MCU stuff, but so yeah, I think Disney Plus is like a really strong.
I feel like it didn't start
Contender.
out that way though.
I don't think. Yeah,
I
it definitely
remember-
didn't start out. I don't think it came out the gate too strong, but it's gotten there.
I remember being angry when it first came out of like
fuck Disney.
like there's another like streaming platform Disney, this already dominating conglomerate company is now coming into this space. I was just I don't know.
Now they're to me one of the best three.
They're good. They're really good.
To me, it's like the best three for in terms of like quantity and quality are Netflix, Prime, and Disney.
Not Crave?
To me, Crave I love, but it doesn't have the volume
To be part of the
in
three.
terms of being the biggest three.
Okay.
I think in terms of personal favorites, I actually might drop Netflix below. So I might
For
have
Crave.
for me, I might have Crave, Prime, and Disney as terms of the ones in terms of the ones I love using the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like I have to put Netflix on the top.
Yeah.
I had Paramount Plus written down on here. I don't have it, or
Me
maybe
neither.
I guess we do, but I've never really interacted with it, so I don't have too much to say on it. It's like one of the newer kids on the block.
Halo is on there, right?
Halo's on there. Like they've got all the Paramount legacy movies and all that stuff, which I guess is interesting, but like generally whatever. Apple TV Plus. This is an interesting one because it's like there's definitely shit on here that's interesting. Like I said, they've got the Monarch Godzilla show. They have the fucking Tetris movie they made, which I want to
Ted
watch.
Lasso I heard is incredible.
Ted Lasso's fantastic, or supposed to be fantastic. My parents like it. There's a lot of stuff on here my mom has watched, like Ted Lasso. Like there's a lot of stuff on here.
What movies? Can you watch any of those movies right now? Or are they like one of those that you have to?
Some of their stuff is on here. It's like, for example, it's like Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Argyle. So it's like they definitely have stuff. I just find so much of Apple's stuff is like it's all rentable, or like, you can buy it digitally, or you need other like subscription things for it. I just find that like outside of their original shit, there's like a pretty lacking.
Bro, the Bad Boys trailer, that's why I said what I said, because there's just a scene of like they're both sitting in the living room, right, of a house, and then the door. Well, yeah, someone rings the door, and Will Smith opens the door, and all he says is "Bad Boys," like in that way, and then that's it. I don't know why he's even in the movie. Why is he in Bad Boys?
That's kind of cool. Can you go down a little bit? I like how you can keep going. I like how you can select. I think there's like an actors section.
Yeah, there was like
That's kind of cool that you can select by like, if you are really into this actor. What if you click on Colin Farrell, is it only gonna pull up the one thing he's in? Oh, it is.
This
Okay.
show.
Never mind. I don't like that. I thought
Some related stuff.
if you click on
maybe.
Colin Farrell, it's gonna show you shit he's in on Apple Plus.
Maybe.
Oh, cool. That's
I
cool.
guess.
I like that they have.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a cool
profile. Yeah, okay.
the Batman's on there. That's kind of cool. I like how they
See,
have.
but this
like,
is what I'm talking about.
Why
It's
is the
Batman.
Batman on
no,
Apple?
no,
But,
dude.
but
Oh,
it's
so
not.
it's not
It's
on
buy or
Apple.
rent.
Okay.
This is what I'm
Buy.
saying. Where it's like Apple's biggest thing to me is it's like
what about the lobster? Yeah, the
buy
lobster.
or rent.
So it's pretty much.
Have you seen
It's
the lobster?
no.
It's incredible.
It's pretty
Seen
much.
it?
No.
I'm gonna put it on the list, dude.
It's
great.
it's pretty much Prime, except it doesn't have like the shipping and the music.
that's what I was saying
and
before,
And the
where it's
really
like-
good originals.
and the really good originals.
Apple has, as far as I'm aware, not having seen a lot of their original stuff, solid originals.
Sure.
My thing is, it's just like the solid originals. To me, it's like what I was saying before of like original programming, all your legacy, and just like normal whatever content, and then like the dark horse shit. They don't have the dark horse shit or the fucking legacy or like interesting or just I want to fucking throw on Goodwill Hunting. Like they don't have the back catalog either. It's basically just originals, a couple movies and shows on there, and then like everything else is buy or rent to a way more annoying degree than Prime, which is why like Apple TV Plus is fine, definitely lower tier streaming service.
What about the pricing of it? Is it how comparable is it to the other streaming platforms that are actually worthwhile in general?
This one I think I actually pay for because I know
How
my
much is
parents
it?
had wanted it.
I'm
I don't
gonna
remember, but
Google it
I
here.
think it's like I want to say $9 or $10 or something.
So
maybe
it's cheaper. It's cheaper than the other ones.
I don't think it's that expensive. And they have deals floating around that you can find. Like they had a deal where it's like if you bought a PS5, you could get like 3 months free of Apple or whatever. Like so they've got deals every once in a while or like little promotions and shit floating around that
Yo.
if you cared.
$12.99 a month. It shows for me.
Oh,
Maybe that's what it is. I don't fucking know.
Yo, how do you feel about the Crunchyroll model of like, it's a streaming platform, you can get it for free, but it's just an overwhelming amount of ads,
I don't think it works.
or you buy premium and there's no ads.
I'm
I don't like
fine
it.
with that as long as people kind of know what they're getting into. To me, the idea that like now a Netflix or a Prime and all these things are like, hey, we're not increasing prices, but we're throwing in ads. But if you don't want ads, you have to give us more money. That shit's infinitely to me. It's like a free to play video game. If a free to play video game wants to keep just shoving like buy loot boxes and buy the battle pass and all this shit down my throat, I don't care because it's like I'm not paying you anything. So it's like advertise to me as much as you want sort of thing. Like I don't give a shit. Whereas like if I shell out, not that I've done it in like 100 years, but if I shell out $80 for the next Call of Duty and then it's like, give us more money, do this, do that kind of thing. Like that to me is where it gets more out of line.
Can I just say this is a random thing, but like Studio Ghibli movies, are they on any of these platforms?
Most of Ghibli stuff was added to Netflix like a couple years ago. So like a shitload. That's the thing. Out of all these streaming services, Netflix is probably, if you care, aside from obviously Crunchyroll,
Most well-rounded.
Netflix is
Oh,
probably the biggest anime one, I would venture a guess. They've all got stuff.
It's good that they did that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
They've
It was a smart move on their
They've
part.
all got stuff, but I think Netflix is for sure. I mean, the Ghibli stuff alone is more than, some of these other streaming services have. But I think there she is, Dua. I think
What is that?
I don't know, some show. I think
Kardashians is on Disney.
yeah, for some fucking reason. Netflix is for sure like the anime
Patrick, you should watch that.
one. It's good. My parents watch it, and I've seen
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
bits
do.
and
I should
pieces
watch
of
that.
it. It's
I should watch
it's
that.
good. The last one I think I was gonna get to was, speaking of dark horses, a dark horse service. Have either of you interacted with Tubi at all?
I've downloaded it at some point, and then I think I deleted it because I think it was like years ago. I don't remember what was on it. I just remember downloading it because it was free. I think isn't it free?
Yes. So this is the interesting thing. Tubi is a totally free. I don't even think there's a paid version. What?
I had a very bad thought in my mind that I cannot say. Into
All
the mic.
right, sure. Tubi is a free streaming service. I don't even think they really do ads as far as I'm aware. This is definitely like a very specific use case streaming service. Their selection of stuff is
They're
definitely
free.
not like, it's definitely, put it this way, the weakest out of all these streaming services we've talked about. Yes, they've got movies like, a Hancock, a Fury, fucking I don't know. I'm sure there's some other nonsense on here that's pretty good. But like
Bruce
a lot
Willis.
of the stuff you look at on here is like
And Bruce Willis and Megan Fox in one
Jason
movie?
Statham movies or like Mel Gibson
You know what
movies.
this is?
Like a lot of this or Schwarzenegger.
This,
Like
this is like parents' wet dreams, like the like the most generic like action movies.
yes,
Yeah.
a lot of this streaming service,
Rambo.
to be fair, is like a lot of dog shit and like a lot of I don't even know if shovelware is the right word. Like I think of that more like it's a more gaming term, but it's like a lot of kind of
Teeth.
nonsense on here. What I appreciate about Tubi is because this streaming service
Hell's Kitchen
is
on there.
almost like a dark horse. A lot of the shit they have on here is in that vein of like very kind of you
Niche.
wouldn't find it anywhere else. So it's like their anime section, for example,
okay.
they have like a pretty decent anime selection, and they have shit on here that is more like you're not necessarily gonna find on
not
some
it's
of
not
the other
mainstream.
ones. Like yeah, it's a little more like obscure shit. What I appreciate specifically, and I understand this is a very, very, very specific use case, but they've got a ton of old Japanese shit on here. So I have like on my list, I haven't watched all of them yet, but they have like all these Gamera movies, the original Ultraman show, and then I don't have them on my list just because you know there's no real point. But they have like a shitload of the older Godzilla movies on here that again is all just like, and some of it's either the Japanese like subtitles or
Why are
the
there so many? How many times can he destroy Tokyo?
there's like almost 40 Godzilla movies now all
What the
told.
hell?
But it's like, so the fact that they have a lot of this shit on here is like, to me,
That's
is.
hilarious.
There he
bro.
is, the OG. Oh, this is the reveal that this Godzilla is not Godzilla and it's actually Mecha Godzilla in a Godzilla skin suit. Oh, I went too far ahead and we missed it. Hold on, fellas.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Now we're gonna watch this shit.
He's like,
Because in this movie, Godzilla pulls up and starts like fucking everything up, and they're like, "What the hell?" Like he's normally not this pissed. And then the actual Godzilla shows. It's very Terminator, which is cool, where he like hits him and starts blowing the skin off, and you see like the fucking metal inside, and it's like, what the fuck's happening? Are there two Godzillas? Of course, there's aliens. There's always aliens. Of course, the dub. Thank God, it's the
okay.
dub.
I was
Is
like,
there no
wait, what's
sub?
happening?
Some of them have subs, but some of them are just the like dubs, which for me is nostalgic because that's the shit I grew up watching. And then of course my boy, the OG evil as fuck Mecha Godzilla, with all the fucking glamorous weapon shots. Love it.
spinning hand.
Yeah.
So fucking awesome. But anyways, shout out indeed.
Throwback to when movies use actual action figures in there
Exactly.
as their actors.
So yeah, Tubi is a bit of like a. It's definitely like the worst out of all the ones we've talked
But it's
about.
free.
But it's free. It's the thing where it's like, you know, to the like free to play game comparison, it's like it's free, so you kind of just get what you pay for, which is, you know, nothing. But it's
Well,
interesting.
you get more than what you pay for.
Yeah.
This is true. I guess that's technically true. So it's fun. It's interesting, but it's definitely a bit of a dark horse. But anyways, we've been going a little bit here. We'll get out of this. I don't know. I also know we have our heart out, which
But
is
how about we
imminent.
How about we really quick just say like if you had to pick one to only use for the rest of your life, what streaming service would you pick to use? It's a toughie. It's a toughie. And I don't even know if I have an answer.
The box. I know.
The
I,
box.
can't- I know I
I'm
can't say
saying
that.
streaming service. Yeah.
Well, if I'm ignoring some of the accoutrements that the others have, like if I'm ignoring Prime's shipping and like
Yeah.
Netflix's games, like
No,
if I'm
you-
talking about just
Just the
No,
streaming.
I'm saying just the
streaming.
package. You just have Netflix by itself or
Okay.
Prime by itself.
Prime.
You can include all those other things that are part of that service.
I'm taking Prime.
See, by that logic, part of me thinks like a Prime or a Netflix makes the most sense. Whereas if I'm doing just the streaming movies and TVs and ignoring the other shit and like putting them a little more on like an even playing field, then I would probably go with like a Disney Plus or a Crave maybe.
Yeah, it's so tough for me. I was gonna say the same thing. Disney Plus or Crave. I think just for the volume, and if I'm picking one forever, I'd probably just do Disney because it has more stuff.
I think it's the volume and then it's the like programming and just shit that like I want. So to me, it's like, yeah, MCU stuff, you know, not that I really have paid attention to a ton of it, but like some of the Star Wars stuff, whatever, like, you know, and then all the legacy
It's interesting.
shit.
I don't even watch Disney for that stuff. I don't watch Star Wars or Marvel ever on Disney. It's just like all the other shit. They have a lot of good shit on there. That's which is I think a good. It's a testament to them because I think a lot of people were like, even I was saying when they were releasing it, I was like, what am I gonna just watch Star Wars and Pixar and like that's it?
Yeah, it was a weak
What's the
start.
point? Yeah, but then they added all this other stuff like
and the Hulu integration and the FX
great.
stuff. And the other thing that's funny is that like Disney has a whole Stars section
That's free.
whereas like on Prime it's like the amount of times we've gone to watch something and it's like, no, you need the Stars subscription. But on Disney Plus they have the Stars section, so it's like it's on Disney Plus, but you have to
This overlap kills me, bro. I hate the overlap.
This is the other thing with the streaming services too that's frustrating is the overlap
What's Stars?
I think it's its own thing.
Another streaming thing.
Technically, again, I've gone with
Kill me now.
I've gone with what I would consider like 7 big or notable ones, but it's like, there's an AMC Plus and a Stack TV and Stars and Shudder, which is like all horror stuff, and like even like kids networks like YTV and some of these things have like more premium like online versions.
They have Roku TV.
Sure, yeah. There's like there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Bro, screw the people who have the energy to start these like Stars. Who's the people who had that energy to start that garbage, bro?
And there was one that like blew up during COVID. Not blew up, but like kind of gained traction during COVID, where it was all vertical stuff on your phone. What was that one called?
Oh, I don't even remember.
It was the one where like Christoph Waltz did a show on it, and like a bunch of these people.
Oh fuck!
And it was just like on the phone, and you just like, and then Peacock maybe. Peacock's the thing.
Peacock's another. I didn't even mention them, but yeah, Peacock's another streaming service. I don't think we get Peacock here though, because that was the thing. Is I limited my search to like in Canada what we get, because I think Peacock is stateside only.
Honestly, they can create as many as they want, but they're like the cream of the crop are gonna rise. Like this is gonna be the best shit. Is that how do you say that?
Yeah.
How you say that? Like, the best shit's gonna be the most popular, and I think.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why like the ones that I've mentioned are the ones they are for a reason, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, streaming.
Cool.
Boys, I want you guys to think about the people we have in our lives, people we know of. Think of how many people have gotten married in the past year, maybe the past 2 years. Let's throw some numbers out. How many people do we know that's gotten married?
I know personally that are like
or
our
like
age?
know of. I'm thinking
at least like a dozen.
At least a dozen, right?
I don't know that many, but I guess I know through you guys, like through Malcolm and
through Malcolm.
like those. Yeah, sure.
And then in the church, there's a few people, and then like from high school, there's also a few people, right?
Yeah, definitely like above 5.
Yeah, well, I think we're getting to that point now where it's like, if you think of it like a curve, I think we're gonna reach the climax of the curve in like 25, 26, 27. Like that's like I think where most people are gonna be getting married.
Sure.
When do you guys see yourselves getting married?
Mark and I were literally just talking about this the other night when you were at Wonderland and we were playing
on
video
the PlayStation
games.
party.
Cool. Yeah, we were just talking about this like very thing. And what I had said to Mark was that like to me it's interesting because I look at it where it still feels a little ways out, like at least 3-4 years minimum away. Because I think about it with Varsh now, where it's like. We've had very sort of like tangential thoughts or like conversations about the idea of like eventually moving out.
So I'm not sure about her
both
yet.
of our. She hasn't decided yet if she wants to keep me around.
No, I was saying you're not sure. About
I haven't decided if I want to keep her around.
Yeah,
switch the power dynamic.
There you go.
Like, I'm not sure about her yet. Yeah,
but like, so we've had kind of tangential thoughts about like the idea of like moving out of both of our houses, like moving in together and like getting not a fucking house probably anytime soon, but like getting an apartment or something together and sort of like living on our own. That is the more like imminent thing, I think. That's maybe like a couple years away for us.
How's her birthday weekend?
It was very good. Her birthday weekend just happened. It was a lot of fun. Good times.
Cool.
But the like wedding, like the getting married and like fucking having kids and all that shit, like that's definitely farther out, but I also think that's normal, at least in my headspace, because I compare it to my parents where it's like they got married when they were like in their late 20s and then had me when they were like 30 basically. So like in that, comparing it to that where I'm like now 24, like I think about it in my head of like in 6 years am I gonna be married and maybe have a kid? Probably, but like the fucking people we know now that are like, yeah, I'm 24 or whatever and like married or like we're having a kid next year or whatever, it's like that shit, fuck no.
I brought it up to Matty because I was thinking about all these people getting married and I was like, for me, I feel like it's not even a thought in my head at this point. I think a part of it is because, Matty's in a long-term relationship and there's like
Sure.
that at the end of the tunnel. But like for me, I feel like I still feel like not a kid, but I still feel like not ready in terms of like financially for sure. Because I feel like for me, in order to have like a kid and like a family and even be married and like move out together, like I have to be financially stable. And for that for me, that means to have like a full-time job in my career, which is not going to be for another couple of years or whatever. And then even then, it's like I haven't even met anybody yet. So like I want to be with someone for at least a year or something or two before I like commit to moving out with them and whatever. So to me, it's like I don't see that happening for me and moving out or anything like that for another like 5-6 years at least as well. And I just feel like even if I had all that shit now, I just don't know if I'd be ready for it mentally to be like, you know what, I'm ready to move out and like start a family and do all this stuff. I'm like, aside from financially, because I don't think I'd be financially ready. Like, am I personally and emotionally ready to do that? I don't think quite yet.
Some of it depends. If I had like the finances, like if Varsh and I could today go out, buy a house, and move in together, I would have no problem doing that necessarily. Of like we're just gonna move in together and yada yada whatever. It's more like specific aspects of like or even get married. I don't think would be whatever. But it's like the kid. The kid is the one that's the biggest hang up to. It's not even so much the like marriage thing. It is the kid thing. That's like, what's great. I don't even know if I'm going to have kids yet. But like if Varsh and I tomorrow moved in together, totally set up financially, blah blah blah, whatever, had a house where we're both 24 now, we would be like, awesome, we're together. And we're married, let's say, we're at least 3-4 years minimum, probably closer to 5-6 from even thinking about like pumping out a fucking kid.
I want, if I'm gonna get married, to like not have kids for a while, and I don't get the rush of it. I think people are like, oh, I want to be like, I don't want to be old when my kid is like young, but it's like to me, you can have 5 years for you and your partner to like grow career wise and to like have fun and travel and whatever. And then you can settle down, because a lot of people, they get married and then it's like 9 months later they're pregnant, like they have a baby.
My parents had a thing, I think, again, to me that is just sounds right because it's just what I'm used to hearing. But like they got married in 96 and then didn't have, or I think it was 96, 98. I should know this, either one. But it was like 2 to 4 years before I fucking came along, sort of thing, which I agree with in the sense of like if Varsh and I were gonna get married when we were like 26, 27. I would kind of be like, maybe in like 2-3 years we'll have a kid or whatever, but it's like, let's have some time, like just you and me sort of thing.
I feel like you also need to like settle into your adult life before you're able to like take on a responsibility like that. Like what if you're not quite attuned to living by yourself without your parents, and like you're not used to doing all these like adult things, and you're not like settled in your career, and you're not mentally like adjusted to your scenario. Like I feel you need to just like be comfortable and safe in your situation, then you could like. So to me, the people who are like, oh, we're engaged, we're getting married, then it's like the wedding's happening, and then it's like less than a year later, boom, out comes a kid, and it's like you've barely been on your own.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you going to take care of somebody if you can't really quite fully take care of yourself?
And aside from the micro stuff, there's also the more macro level, which I don't know if I feel like I've said this to you guys before I think, but Varsh and I have definitely like, it's something I've always been conscious about, and even Varsh has expressed to me the idea of like not even being sure if we would even want to have kids, depending on like, to call back to a previous topic, world, like the state of the world, because it's like her and I have like definitely had the thought of like adopting. Oh, in like 10 years if we're like married together and like that would be nice and all that shit and blah blah, and like thinking about the kid thing, like she had mentioned it before, even I had said it, of like, yeah, I'm not 100% sure right now if I want a kid. Like it depends on would we be able to actually like afford and like sustain a couple of kids or whatever, and B, like what kind of situation are we like bringing them into, sort of thing. So it's like,
well, I think it's, I don't know, I think you almost have to think about like your situation. Not, I think it's like it's easy to think about global situations, and then that could deter you forever from having kids, because there's always going to be some global issue going on. Like, like when has there ever been a time where there's like nothing happening? Like there's always some fucked up thing going on. So I think if you're able to like create a peaceful and safe situation for yourself and guarantee that in a way, I mean, there's no guarantee for anything, but like you're pretty sure that your situation is going to be good and safe. I feel like then I'm pretty sure.
Varsh and I look at it, I think, and also we're looking at it a little bit more like hyperbolic, like the,
war
most
scenario?
Extreme possible thing of like, a thing if it's like, up global warming's bad, like the planet's got 10 years, or like up some big war, or, oh, there's like an asteroid coming. Like more, I think her and I look at it more than we should, like a little bit more of like the drastic shit of like if it got that bad, would we even think about like bringing a kid into that?
But to me, that's like what I'm saying is like I feel like that's always a possibility.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like and I'm not judging. I totally get it, and I've heard many people say that, and I it makes sense to me. It's like, do we want to like create something that's so like connected to us and like we love so much, and then like we don't want to have it be screwed over? But at the same time, it's like you could let any paranoid thoughts like prevent you from, like, for example, like, do we want to bring a kid into the world and then there's gonna be another pandemic and then they're gonna get sick and die? Like, shit can happen. But
even if it's not that, you take the risk of like you're gonna have a kid
a car accident
born,
with
like a fucking heart condition.
Sure.
Like you always kind of run the risk.
But it's normal to have those worries, you know?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. To your question on all this theme, like the moving out, let's say, and like moving in with Varsh and I, or like getting married and all that kind of shit, that's, as time has gone on, I see it a little more at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. It's more for me personally the kid thing where I'm like, that I'm not even fucking even fathoming right now of like, that is such a like my dream, or not like a dream like I want it, but like just a dream scenario, like it's not real, you know?
I think that people take it too lightly, like having a kid. I think a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm married now, like kid. Like,
well, there are absolutely a shitload of people who should fucking not have kids.
Sure, but I mean, obviously it's hard to like, it's so subjective. It's hard to be like, oh, who's going to be objectively a bad parent or not? And it's like, but I know what you're saying. There's people who are like, you look at them and their situation, there's like, you're like, you should never have a kid.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I feel like there's no, I guess, perfect time to do any of this shit. It's all like, you know,
people like, there's that expression of like, there's no good time kind of thing.
But I think it's good that you're at least thinking. I think everybody should think thoughtfully and slowly about having kids and whether it's going to be a responsible decision or not. Because it's like, you could really fuck shit up for that kid if you don't think it through. And I think a lot of people just like, I'm married, like this is the next step, and then there's like familial pressure and shit. I think it's probably going to be less with you than it is with, like, for example, even my parents. I don't think they're crazy on it, but like a lot of like immigrant parents might be like, it's like, no, you have to have a kid like soon. Like,
I don't feel it on my end. Yeah. Like both my parents want Michael and I to have kids, just because they like the idea of like having. They have no rush. Yeah. They just kind of like would like it, you know, at some point, you know, before they fucking die or whatever. Whereas like it's more Varsha's side being the more like, especially with her, not so much her parents here or anything like that. It's more her family back home in India that like she always jokes about, like she hasn't even told like 99% of her family back home that I even fucking exist, or that we're together.
Well, that's because she's ashamed of you, but I think you're
no, but I remember the first time she had told me that when we were like, you know, 6-7 months into dating, of like when she had mentioned that, I was like, oh, like, do you not want to say anything because you're worried that they're gonna be like, oh, you went to Canada and dated some fucking, you know, white guy or whatever. And Varsha's like, no, it's nothing to do with that. It's that if they know that I'm with you, they're gonna be like on my ass about like, when are you getting married? When's the wedding? When are you having, like, when am I getting grandkids? Like all that shit. And she's like, I just don't even want to fucking, I don't even want the headache. So she's like, I'm just not even like mentioning that you exist kind of thing.
I think I've asked you this before, but they don't care if you're like Hindu or if you're practicing at all?
Not really, no.
So, does her
maybe
family...
some of the people back home would, but like her parents, for example, could care less, because they're not even like, her mom is a little more, but they're not even the most religious.
I'm saying like, would they want your child in the future to be practicing or no? Like, and what's the deal there?
That I've never really inquired too much about. I mean, I'm sure if like her extended family, or maybe even her parents to a much smaller degree, like had the option, I'm sure they would maybe default to like, you know.
What does she want, you think?
I don't think Varsh really cares, because Varsh is specifically also not really religious, like at all in a lot of ways. I don't think she's necessarily like as far away from it as I am on like the atheist side on things.
Like a literal believer.
I think she's more like, I don't know, my parents or whatever, where I would say like my parents are like culturally Catholic, where it's like they believe in God and whatever, but they aren't like, they don't read the Bible, they're not going to church, they're not.
Your parents
like,
believe in God?
I think so. I mean, I've never really like sat down.
I didn't know that.
It's definitely the next time my dad and I do Old and Gold, that's definitely something I've always wanted to just
ask
him about is more the like, because I know he's a lot like me in the sense that like he always has said to me like, you know, organized religion is like such a shit show in the amount of like problems it's caused in the world and that people allow it to cause kind of thing. And my dad has always been very like, you know, you don't blindly follow anything or whatever. Like you don't give your heart to any fucking thing. Like, you know, you think for yourself and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like my parents would, I think they would both define themselves like as Catholics or Christians or whatever. Like, I don't think either one of them would say they're atheists. I think they would like categorize themselves like that. And I think that's more like Varsh, not to speak for her, but like, I think she would categorize herself more as like
cultural Hindu,
but not necessarily like, you know, her and her family's not at like the temple every week or like.
I think that's like most people these days. It's like, you know, it's a part of your tradition. It's a part of
a little more secular.
Yeah, it's just like it's always going to be a part of you and your family and your bloodline. But I feel like it's not something that you're going to be like, you know, you're taking everything word for word and you know, by the book type deal.
Except those weirdos like Patrick. Patrick, go on. I feel like it's been a hot minute.
Patrick's a staunch.
Heard from me. Staunch.
Staunch.
Fill in the blank, audience. What do you have to say on this? I feel like it's been a hot minute since we've heard your voice.
Yeah, we kind of jumped around a little bit. I was trying to keep up with you guys, but what were we?
To the main point you were asking about of like the wedding and the marriage thing and like all that, I think Mark and I are simpatico on like
that it's gonna be a while.
That it's going to be a while. Like maybe the whole moving out and getting married thing is definitely like closest.
Sure.
But still probably a few years away.
Like definitely before you turn 30, you'll probably be moving out. You want to be moving out.
Before I'm like in my head, before I'm 30 or at like 30 tops, I am moved out and like Varsh and I are married kind of thing. The kids thing is again the one like fucking coin toss up in the air of like, I don't know how that shit lands.
I kind of like the idea of, and I'll pass it off to you, but like I kind of like the idea of like having kids like in your like early 30s.
Sure.
And then they're like, you know, when they're in their 20s and they're starting to do their own thing, like you're 50 something, you're still young and you still have energy and stuff, and then you're not like an old man yet.
Well, that's where my parents are at, which is what I like, which is like I don't necessarily need to be one of these people who's like 25 having a kid, because that to me has always come across as like a little early. Yeah. But I also have never wanted to be somebody who's like just having a kid in like their 40s or 50s, because to me I'm like, am I even gonna have the fucking energy and like patience to raise kids? Like I know tons and tons of people do, but it's like I would rather be again where my parents are at, of like they had me when they were like 30, and then you know a couple years later when they had Michael, and now that you know I'm 24, Michael's 22, and they're like you know 55 or whatever the fuck they are, like 53, 54, 55 in that kind of ballpark. You know they still have you know life left to live and like you know retire and like do their own thing and not have to worry about Michael and I sort of thing.
It's kind of perfect timing because my parents are the same. I think they had me and my brother when they were like, my dad was like early 30s and my mom was like late 20s or mid 20s or something.
Yeah.
Where it was like, now my dad is like approaching retirement in the next 5 years, and like me and my like I can't speak for my brother. I don't know what he wants to do quite yet, but like for me, I'm approaching moving out and doing my own thing within the next 5 years, likely.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if I meet somebody for sure, and even if not, my parents might move back home, and like I might live here by myself with my brother. So like within the next 5 years, they're gonna be in the retirement phase, and within the next 5 years, I'm gonna be moving out. So like our life is kind of like lined up to the point where like when you're ready now to like do your own thing, they're also ready to like be retired and do their own thing. You know, so it's kind of like a cool. You're both entering a new stage of your life, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. But like I think I've talked to Patrick about it before, and I think you've generally echoed the sentiment that you don't want it to be anytime soon. But like, have you changed your mind on that, or what do you feel?
Not at all. Well, actually, no. I think I don't know what I'm thinking right now, to be honest with you. Like, part of me is envious of people who like met someone in their early 20s.
I'm kind of jealous.
And
I talk shit, but I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm jealous because I feel like it's such an important thing.
I feel like it's an important stage of life.
Yes.
And if it's like done properly, you guys like grow together, and if you guys are serious about each other, then it's like you're almost building your life earlier on than if you meet someone later.
And money comes and goes, and you're both pursuing your careers, so it'll work out.
Yeah.
You know.
So there's more of a sense of coordination and
purpose
and bond with a person when it's like slightly earlier. So I don't know how it's gonna be if like I meet someone at like 27. Do I still want a buffer time of like, you know, not engaged, like we're dating and then get engaged, and am I gonna forestall marriage because I still want that sort of like period of time?
I think you don't know until you meet somebody, right? Like I feel like you.
Yeah,
like
I think it's one of those things you just kind of figure out as you go.
Now that you're committed to Varsh and you've been with Varsh for a while, it's like the future seems somewhat planned out. Like you don't have the exact year and whatever, but you have like a general within the next this.
It's like I'm saying where it's like I see the idea in my head of like us moving out and like getting married and settling down.
Whereas for me, like I have an idea of when I want to potentially move out because my parents have their own plan of moving back home and whatever. So like I'm gonna be living by myself within the next 5 years. But like in terms of being married and having kids, I have zero idea because I'm not with anybody and I don't have a potential like timeline.
Is there no part of you, Fahim, though, that looks at it and feels like in some cases it's like not rushed or like I don't know premature, and it's not like
you're gonna say like hopeless. Like,
you're gonna end up
like don't you feel like there's no hope and you should just kill yourself? But like, because I look at
that's
one
why
of our
I
friends from work, for example.
Yeah.
Her and her partner just moved in together, and they've been engaged for a while, and I think are getting married next year. Jenna.
Okay.
Her and her now
Patrick.
fiance Patrick.
His name's Patrick.
But they've been together since
I'm very sweaty.
They've been together since like high school or whatever. So it's like the fact that isn't he a little older by like a year or whatever?
I have no clue.
Fucking know.
I don't know anything about
She's
him.
our age. They've been together in quotes now for like they've got to be pushing like 8 years.
Wow.
Or something like that. So it's like that to me makes more sense. But like you guys have told me about like either people from your church or like we've seen people who we know from high school that like seem like they're getting married now to people they've only been with like a year or two. Those aren't the people that I look at or that I would think you would look at with that like almost
admiration.
wistful like oh they're married and they're committed and they've got it like.
Well, to me it's not really like a time
investment
issue. It's an issue of like, are we on the same page?
What do you mean? Like you and your partner? You're saying?
You and your partner, do we have the same values? Do we have similar goals? Do we have similar aspirations? You know what I'm saying? That's a synonym to goals. I'm sorry.
but I'm sure you generally look at them being like I think what Matty's getting at is you probably look at them and be like, isn't that kind of rushed? Isn't that kind of quick? They barely have known each other. Like there's almost like
and
a
that's
part of
not
it
like a surefire thing. Like there are people who are together a year and then get married and fucking stay together till their 90s, and there are people who are like dating for like 5 years and then get married and divorce after like 2.
I'm sure. I'm sure you could even like you probably maybe even felt it yourself where you meet someone and you've been close with them for a long time, but like it's not, there's nothing like hitting you and there's nothing like the chemistry isn't quite there. Whereas you meet someone for like a couple of months and all of a sudden you're crazy about them and you think and it like works out.
Well, that's why I specifically said when I sort of describe I hate using the word envy, but I feel like it fits. That it's like people who did it right. You know what I'm saying? So
we don't know if they did it right because it's too early to tell. Like the people that are our age, right? I'm saying. Like you don't.
I'm not speaking about anyone in particular.
saying
I'm just saying like generally people who have that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
And I was gonna. Oh God, what was I gonna say? You can go ahead.
No. Do you ever think to yourself like, is there? I sometimes think about this. Like I think, is there something that I'm doing wrong? Like, is there something that I'm doing wrong and that's the reason I'm not in that situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there any like, am I taking a misstep because I'm not even near that situation, or is that just kind of like dumb luck and it is what it is?
I don't think so, and I also think we're still young.
Of course.
Like the people that are getting married or like moving out together, and the moving out thing maybe, but like the people that are like our age, 24 now, that are getting married, that to me, I mean, I don't know the fucking numbers on like, the average age people get married, but I would venture a guess that is like early.
I think can we pull it up? I think let's do a guessing game here. Okay. What do you think the average age of people getting married in 2024 is in Canada?
I think guys. Oh, in Canada specifically? I don't know. Generally,
the world, global.
Generally, I think like guys maybe like 27, 28, girls 23, 24.
I'm gonna say average age of marriage is 29.
That's for both guys and girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matty, what do you think?
Yeah, I would ballpark like 30 on the high end, 28 on the low end.
See.
Kind of thing.
35.
Since then, the average
age is almost continuous. Increased almost
This
continuously.
is Canada in 2019.
2019, 35 is the average.
What?
That's wild.
That's craziness.
There you go. But I also
Do
think
Egypt. Do Egypt real quick.
In Egypt, yeah.
Wow.
20 to 22.
22 in urban areas. You know what? That checks out.
It does
Bro,
check out.
all my cousins that are
It
like, they
does.
got married in their 20s.
Yeah, my cousin, she's 21 right now. She's like,
There
I'm
you
looking
go.
for a husband.
Engaging. Yeah,
I talked to her the other day on the phone.
But there's
I
also
don't like that.
cultural differences in that
Dude.
too. That like
Yes.
more like where you guys are from and more like Middle Eastern
What are you
parts of
trying
the
to
world. They're, you know, I gotta not make the joke, but they're more like there's a cultural difference in like, you know, when you have a joke and you're loaded in the chamber and then you just hit the brakes at the last second.
When we talked about 2B, that's what it. That's why I
They're
did.
good.
Yeah.
But like I feel like it is more of a cultural thing where it's like more those parts of the world are like more at a younger age you're like getting married or like starting a family and that kind of thing, whereas like here it's less
Normal.
You know what it
yeah,
is?
like it's I guess there's less of a rush or it's just not perceived as
Yeah.
like needing to like you don't need to be 22 and have a kid already
You know,
kind
you
of
know
thing.
what it is? It's like, you know, when you're in, I don't know if you ever took any like psych courses in college or whatever. Have you taken any psychology courses? Like sometimes they talk about like individualistic countries versus like collectivist countries or community driven countries and stuff. And it's always like the Western world is more individualistic. Like people are focused on their individual goals, dreams, whatever.
Sure.
Whereas in a bunch of Eastern countries, it's all about like, what can you do to serve your community and your family? So it's a lot of people back home. It's like, it's almost like it's weird. It's almost like a family goal to get your kid married.
It really is.
And
Yeah, the parents help find someone
yes,
for you.
and those like borderline interviewing and like
Yeah.
family meetings and all this stuff. And to me, like, I feel like it's a double-edged sword because I think there's a good thing about that and there's a bad thing. The good thing is that like a lot of people are able to get married in what they believe is the right time, and they seize the moment in their life, and they're young and they have energy and they're like, and oftentimes it works out and it's a great relationship and whatever. But I think the con is like, to me it feels weird and almost sometimes like disingenuous to kind of like force it and kind of like you treat it like it's a job interview. Or
The
you treat it as,
arranged
like, you know,
marriage thing has never sat well with me.
Yeah.
And I know there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that are in arranged marriages all over the world that are like
millions
together and happy and
Yeah.
whatever. And like it works out and that's fine. Like, you know, more power to you kind of thing. But like just as a premise, it's never
It's uneasy.
sat like I've never been like obviously I'm not against if like your fucking parents have like a family friend and it's like they try to maybe like set you up or something like
I'm fine.
that's-
Please do.
I
That's
can't speak
whatever.
for other countries, but in Egypt, that's more so what it is. Like
It's not arranged.
It's not arranged like in the strictest definition.
sure of like your parents, her
Yeah.
parents sitting down and being
They're
like,
like,
let's broker
to
the
shake
deal."
hands,
But what
yeah,
I but what I
this
don't
is
li-
it.
what I don't like and what I've seen and what I feel is that there's some people who get married just for getting married's sake.
Yeah.
Like some people are just getting married because it's like, hey, I'm getting older. Like I need to get this done. It's like a checklist that you have to check off.
Yeah.
And then it feels like, are you doing this for love and for someone you're truly like you want to live your life with? Or are you doing this because it's like you're getting past your time? It's like you got to do this shit now.
That
you know?
to me, to your point, and just so you're aware, Patrick, it's like 5 after 5, so I know
You
you,
know, I
you
feel
have
like-
a
yeah.
hard out here, so we'll
Okay.
wrap it up a little bit. But that's why, to me, your worry has even like,
Wait, what worry did I give? I didn't say.
or just
worry.
saying like the envy thing of like
Oh,
looking
okay.
at people who have it together. That's why to me, to Mark's point, it's never made any sense worrying about that because it's like, not to sound too corny about it, but like it'll come when the times are or that kind of thing. But it is the
Yeah.
idea of like you would rather be in a situation where you're like 50 and single and you meet the woman of your dreams and get married together and maybe you don't have kids because you're already 50 or whatever, maybe you do, whatever, and you just spend the rest of your lives together like from that point on happy as shit. You would rather that, I would assume, 10 out of 10, and knowing you two, 10 out of 10 times more than you would want to like be in a relationship right now and get married by the time you're like 26.
I think that you're
just to be like in it
I think-
sort of thing, and then have it not be either not work out or maybe you stay together, but it's not like as fulfilling as it otherwise could have been things. That's why to me the like I get where your head's at because even before Varsh and I had not in a sense of like getting married or like moving out. For me, it was more just like just having a girlfriend and like having that kind of relationship and partner because before Varsh, I didn't. So it's like I looked at it with a certain amount of like that wistful sort of like I want this and I'm sort of like envious of other people who have it. But there was always a thought in the back of my head of like, even if I didn't meet someone till I was like 35, I would rather have waited and met someone, in my case Varsh, than like gotten together with someone when I was like 19 and have it be just like this shitty, relationship or whatever. So it's like, I get what you're saying, but to Mark's point, it's like, it's better to sort of like wait it out and do it right than to sort of just like do it to do it or do it because you want to, or like,
That being said, it's
shit.
so tempting to not do that, because I think it's like, it's the difference between the right thing to do for yourself versus like what you need versus what you want type situation.
Sure.
Where it's like, what I need for my life, it's like what's best for my life is to just honestly wait for the right person to come along, and it might take years and whatever. But what I want is to kind of like have something now, and I want to meet someone now, and like start this relationship and this connection and this journey, like you're saying, like working towards something with someone. I want to be in this now. Like I have that desire, but it's like, and I think a lot of people give into that desire and maybe rush it, and then they end up getting divorced, because like 50% of marriages end in divorce, and people like they rush it. Maybe I don't know, but like I don't know. It's weird. There's a whole other conversation to be had about divorces. Maybe we can do a different topic, but like it almost never happens in our culture. Mainly because it's like it's not really allowed unless like there's like extenuating, like if there's like abuse, or verbal or physical or whatever. And all of the situations, you're not allowed to just get a divorce. Like the church won't let it happen unless there's like legitimate reasons why, and there's like a case to be had, and it's like literally treated like a court case type situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that good? Is that bad? A lot of people would disagree with that. You should be able to do whatever you want. At the same time, it's like success rate's way higher. But like, are you happy? Yeah, like I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. I think we should wrap it up here.
Sure.
All
right.
Thanks for the conversation.
Interesting. Thank you, Patrick. Is there anything else we just really quickly wanted to rattle off before we get out of here? I don't know. I'm hopefully looking forward to just going home, doing some editing, and maybe watching Godzilla -1 later. We'll see
let me know if you want to play Overwatch later.
That. Yeah, maybe perhaps some games.
You want to play Cooch later?
Potentially.
Potentially, maybe perhaps. But
can I hit that outro on this one?
Please.
All right, thank you
Who
for
did it last week?
I don't know.
Was
Me.
Patrick that did it?
Yeah, it was me.
I like the idea of maybe passing around the outro.
Sure. Thank you for watching. This has been the Wildly Adequate podcast. Please like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We want to get more viewers for sure. And thank you for watching. We love you guys.
We're almost at
Appreciate
70.
you. We're almost at 70?
Yeah.
That's true.
Subscribers.
Oh, 70 subscribers. Let's get it up to 100. Let's do that. Can we
Pump
get
up
it to
those numbers?
Please. Yeah. All right. See ya.
Goodbye.